Well, it's that day you've all been waiting for again. Look at the crowds lined up. Not quite the usual crisp, sunny weather we often get at this race, but it is Strade Bianche, an enlarged Strade Bianche this year, 215 kilometres. Riders getting ready, and they've been out on the roads for a little while now. I can say the action has been kicking off. We'll go to it in just a moment. But plenty going on. And the return of a certain Tadej Pogačar to race that he won 2 years ago. So that's where we're going to start our build-up, with Tadej Pogačar himself, as he returns to the white roads, this time with white hair. And Tadej Pogačar, well, he left off the 2023 season away and winning. This time at the Giro di Lombardia. His is the name that starts out the stand list today, just as it did back then. This is going to be his first race of the year. It was a 50-kilometre solo exhibition last time out. Let's see how it goes today. Tom Pidcock will be aiming for his first good result of the year. He looked maybe just a little off in the Algarve and at Omloop at Nieuwsblad, where he had to fight to get back in the group. He won last year. He's hoping to become the first man to win this race back-to-back. And Julien Alaphilippe, the 2019 winner. Similar goal for him. Been a little longer since he was running regularly, however. 5 years after beating Jakob Fuglsang, he's looking for his best legs. And there's a two-time winner in Michał Kwiatkowski. If he can win, he'd join Fabian Cancellara as a three-time winner and have a Sterrato sector named after him. But it wouldn't be Strade Bianche without a house full of insiders. Last year, it was a disorganised chase group. Maybe he had a few regrets afterwards. There's the gravel world champion, of course, Matej Mohoric. He was sixth last year. And now that rainbow jersey off-road. The French teams as well are not to be outdone. Groupama FDJ topping the list. Second and eighth last year. Madouas, Grégoire, as well as Lenny Martinez, who's in good form after winning in La Iguela. And well, as promised, as advertised, here he is with that white hair heading to the white roads. Tadej Pogačar's ready. The bike's ready. And our experts are ready as well. For the first time this season in men's racing, we're going to go and get the predictor. All of the analysts who've been in and around the race, ready to go. I might think that a few of them could be about to pick the man we just saw. But he's not wearing one today, that's to Tom Pidcock. So without further ado, time to find out who our experts, our wonderful cast of experts here at Eurosport Cycling have picked.
My pick for the men's Strade Bianche is none other than Tadej Pogačar, obviously. The man's won everything, so I can see him probably winning this again as well. But I hope for a good fight off of last year's winner, Tom Pidcock.
Strade Bianche men. Well, I'll try again this year. My choice is Attila Valter from Team Visma Lease Bike. He's come close to winning in recent years, a former mountain bike rider, and he came out of the UAE Tour really well. Attila Valter is my choice for this Strade Bianche.
Attila è la mia scelta per questa Strade Bianche 2024.
Strade Bianche, die Straße des weißen
Strade Bianche, the white roads. This edition is going to be won by Christophe Laporte from Team Visma Lease Bike. Why? Because on the opening weekend, he was already so close in Omloop and Kuurne. He had to hold back for a teammate up front. This race, he starts as the only leader for his team. He'll win in a sprint from a small group.
Laporte als alleiniger Kapitän für seine Mannschaft. Wird das Rennen im Sprint aus einer kleinen Gruppe gewinnen.
Tim Wellens is mijn voorspelling voor Strade.
Tim Wellens is my prediction for Strade Bianche. I know that Pogačar is the absolute favourite, and he's probably going to live up to that. But if there are any other chances for the others, it's within his own team, especially taking in mind how strong Wellens is at the moment and how this race really suits him. So I would say that all eyes be on Pogačar, and then Wellens can sneak away. My favourite for the men's Strade Bianche is Tadej Pogačar. Of course, it's going to be his first race of the season, but he's really done well with his calendar. Not going to race too much before the Giro. We know he's a rider who doesn't really need competition to be in winning form. So my favourite is Tadej Pogačar. Well, there you have it. And there you had it at the start as well today. You might notice a bit of wet weather gear around, arm warmers. It's often been cold but sunny at this race. The last time we had a really muddy, wet Strade Bianche was all the way back in 2018. Pogačar wasn't among the pros yet. Of course, there he is racing alongside Corratec Vini Fantini. One of the teams desperate, I'm sure, to get in the breakaway. Stefan Allocchio would have been desperate to get this longer change Strade Bianche underway. And when he got to kilometre zero, that is how it went. Took a while, though, for things to settle down. Inevitable attacks that lasted quite a while. Hello, everybody. A big day, isn't it? One of the days I know that you've all been looking forward to. And it is already all kicking off on the screens in front of us. Welcome to where the ancient and the modern agree to meet on a Saturday each spring. And well, those who have legs are meeting those who don't already with 93.3 kilometres to go. Let's quickly run you through the race situation as it's been so far. 7 riders got away after 10 kilometres today. It contained Tom Screens, however, who was so good last week in the opening weekend, so it was not allowed to go. 2 more sectors were ridden. The first 2 sectors of the 15 on the route this year. 30 kilometres ridden, there was no breakaway. Then there was a split in the peloton. That was brought back straight away by Cofidis. And after 40 kilometres, Donovan, Johannesson, Craddock were then joined by Smith and Brun. We had 5 riders away with 2 minutes and 30 of a gap, but that did not last long. UAE Emirates, EF Education Easy Post chasing, and we now have a brand new situation as the rain starts to fall again and things really start to get going. The beautiful Crete Senesi in the background, the hills, but it's the warriors on the road that are giving us the show early on. Well, that early race situation has all been blown up. The last thing we knew, Quinn Simmons and Marnus Court were up the road. And we're now looking at UAE Emirates with several riders. And at the back, waiting, is Tadej Pogačar. You can see that Simmons has been brought back. We're now looking at the front of the race. And Strade Bianche, despite it being a longer race this year, has started from further on out. And this is all that's left at the front. Isaac Del Toro is pulling in the peloton. We just saw another small group. Just wait to see if that is a group that has a gap or is this the front of the race. The graphics are telling us that might be the case, but this particular shot with beautiful castle in the background as we're at Asciano does look like we don't have too many riders, if any, up the road. Adam Blythe and Daniel Lloyd are about to join me, Rob Hatch, after a frenetic start and a sprint from the studio to the commentary box. And well, they've been sprinting away from the peloton and then being dropped out the back of it whilst we've been getting ready and getting sorted. This is Chigi Farm, just at Asciano. And a reminder that there are 15 different sectors to take on today, totaling 71 kilometres. Oh, Dan can join me now. The rain is falling down. I know, Dan, this is a race you love. We don't often get too much of a chance to work our way into this one. This year, well, they've ripped up the script completely. There's only 90 kilometres to go, and we're still trying to work out what on earth's going on the screen.
And there's something quite nice about that, isn't there? I mean, we're so spoiled with much of the big races now. Tour de France, of course, Giro d'Italia, live from flag to finish line. Same goes for Roubaix, San Remo, the big monuments, etc. But with this one, like you were just doing, kind of trying to catch up with what's already happened in the race, and indeed decide which group is where, who's in what group. But yeah, fairly clear that UAE Team Emirates have been bossing it at the front for a long time. They want to make this a very hard race for Tadej Pogačar, because despite the fact that he's not raced yet this year, he's clearly confident, and when he's confident, there's every reason for the team to back him fully.
Adam joined us as well. Adam, we're looking at a long line of riders here with Isaac Del Toro, who we saw down under racing so well, involved in a race that this time last year you could only dream of racing.
Yeah, I mean, to be here and right in the mix with doing it all, I think it's brilliant.
Well, Adam might be with us in a moment's time. Here's Matej Mohoric coming to the front for Bahrain victorious. Quinn Simmons is going to chase him. And the trick is to try and take it to UAE Emirates. Quinn Simmons is going to do more than that. He's already tried to be at the front of this race once before, just about 10 minutes before we came to air. The United States champion racing away in the rain. And this is a race that he really has tried to win in the past, Dan.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm looking down through the group to try and see how many other Lidl Trek rides there are, because if there aren't more behind, it's a move where obviously he's going to be using a fair bit of energy. I can see at least one other ride, probably Tom Schoen, I think that is, on the left-hand side for Lidl Trek, flying last week, of course. But when you've still got two riders from UAE Emirates riding on the front, including Tim Wellens, who looks like he's been saving energy, you kind of think, well, you're on a bit of hiding to nothing going with 90 Ks to go. But like you said, you know, there's something to be said for the anticipation, the word that we've been saying for the last year or two, getting ahead of the game so that you're there when things do kick off behind and you can latch on to whoever comes across.
Simmons is out the front there. We're getting news of more abandons for Soudal Quickstep. Both Alaphilippe and Magnier have abandoned the race, joining Brambilla and Calzoni of Q36.5. Here's a man, though, who's very much to the front.
Today, first of the season for you. Do you have extra pressure because of that?
I wouldn't say pressure, but just a little bit more nervous than usual. I think it's a first race, and yeah, I want that all the hard work from the winter, it will pay off today, and yeah, let's see. I hope it was good preparation.
Yeah, we know you can win on every course, every weather, but I guess you like also this kind of weather today.
Yeah, I like today's weather, I like today's course, and yeah, I think actually it's not so bad that it was raining yesterday. I think it's going to be really hard gravel. It's going to be really fast through it, so yeah, it's going to be fast racing today.
And last question, can you tell us secretly where you're going to attack?
On Santa Maria.
Good, thanks, we're going to watch you there. Good luck.
He's not great at keeping secrets, is he, Tadej Pogačar? And we love him for it.
No, that kind of makes no difference, does it? Because if he's got the best legs that we've seen Pogačar have over the years, even if he says exactly the point of Monte Santa Maria is going to go, doesn't mean that anyone's going to be able to follow him. But I think in this new Strade Bianche that we have today, with the extra finishing loop, I don't think he'd want to go alone. You know, that is what we have seen for the last two races, or two editions of this race on the men's side. Pidcock going last year with around 50 Ks to go, same with Pogačar the year before that. But with it coming, you know, fairly shortly and still with around 80 kilometres to go this year, it's a long way to go solo. I mean, 50 Ks was already a long way to go solo. So I think it will change the dynamic of this race. But on the other hand, that is the hardest sector. It's quite a long climb there, whereas those of you who watched the women's race this morning will have seen that on the final, wow, look at the rain coming down here. Wow. The finishing circuit, although lumpy, there's no really long climbs. And so if you are a really good climber like Pogačar, to try and make the difference and drop some of the bigger classic stars, you'll want to use that bit of road coming up soon.
Called it a storm. Quinn Simmons on the road here. inside the final 88 kilometres already of an enlarged Strade Bianche. It's 215 kilometres this year. For a few years, the route remained, like many corners of this old region, completely untouched. But this year, we've got a circuit that's been introduced. The kilometres increased. The race distance exceeding 200 kilometres for the first time. Well, is it a revolution, a makeover, a tiny bit of tinkering? Did it need any of those things? We'll be discussing that probably after the race now, because this is absolutely all over the place already, and they're chasing the lone attacker. 23 seconds then for Quinn Simmons. And Isaac Del Toro, we've seen him in leader fashion in the opening few weeks of his professional career. He's now working as domestique, and he's doing a pretty good job. We know he's got the power down, don't we? We know that he's supremely talented, but these races are different, aren't they?
Yeah, it's always different, and we've got a gauge of a lot of riders' form, but you never know which races they're really going after. And so we've got a lot of riders here that we're not sure whether they're team leader. You know, Visma Lease Bike, for example, they said they're all behind Attila Valter, but we've got Christophe Laporte here. He's on debut, so we're not sure what to expect from him, but he's right there in the centre of picture. Sepp Kuss is there on the right-hand side as well, and of course they'll be full of confidence given what they did last weekend, where they took about 102 victories in the space of 2 days, I think it was, over the men's and the women's squad. But yeah, 24 seconds now for Quinn Simmons, and this will be good for Thomas Schoynes behind. Like I said, we saw how well he was going just a week ago at the Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, dropping the likes of Wout van Aert up Berendries. He'll be able to sit on now. Not that he would have been doing work anyway, but if there are any moves in these upcoming sectors, if Simmons is away, of course he doesn't need to do anything behind. He can just do his best to sit on the wheels of whoever does attack. I mean, there was a chance of rain today on the forecast I looked at this morning. I didn't see anything that predicted it might look like this.
No. Well, I think we were expecting a pretty dry and compact day in terms of the gravel and everything underneath. This might really change things completely.
Yeah, I think it will totally, because what we'd seen yesterday was that there was a fair bit of rain during the day, and that obviously had settled on the gravel road, so a few potholes which were filled with rainwater. But we did expect it to not rain too much today, particularly for the men's race, actually, that it would dry up, but complete contrast to that right now. This is going to be, I mean, we've only had one wet edition of this race back in 2018, and it makes it completely different. Obviously, the pictures of this race are beautiful when the sun's out. Some of the best pictures you'll get of the entire season, the best footage. But even when it's wet and horrible like it is today, it makes it beautiful in a very different manner.
Well, you Adam Blythe fans, don't worry too much. He will be along. They're just trying to sort out his microphone. Somebody must have cut the wire. They obviously didn't want to listen too much to Adam today. We've got the Ineos Grenadiers on the front here, and I tell you what, you talked about that day with Tish Benoot. Both you and Adam have ridden in these conditions previously on these roads, not at this race itself, but at the Giro d'Italia, and that was a bit of a festival of mud, wasn't it, back in 2010, I think it was? Adam Blythe, 126th on the day at 24 minutes 10 seconds.
I shouldn't laugh, because you're about to read out where I was.
Daniel Lloyd, 103rd on the day at 20 minutes 34 seconds.
Full 4 minutes ahead.
Amazingly, there are no non-finishers. For anybody who is just switching on the telly, getting in maybe from the morning club ride, Alaphilippe's already abandoned, Brambilla's abandoned, Magnier as well, Calzoni, and it's only really just started raining. There could be absolute carnage on these roads as we go to the final 84 Ks. You're watching the Classic Stars taking on the Grand Tour greats with a prize of victory in one of the world's prettiest squares. The photo might not be too clear today, though. This is pretty hellish weather, and you're looking at a man who's pretty good in these conditions, but it's an ingredient mix of all sorts that you need to be able to ride in this sort of stuff, don't you, Dan?
It is, yeah. I mean, I would describe this as biblical rain right now. I mean, we always say that if you can see the rain on television through the camera, it's got to be raining very hard. Well, you can see this rain very clearly. But we're on to the sector that everybody knows is so crucial at this race, Monte Santa Maria, one of 2 5-star sectors. They've already gone over the first one, but this one is 11.5 kilometres long, and there's a really severe climb on this, followed by that descent where we saw Tom Pidcock go away last year. And again, that will be a part of today's race, because he was comfortable in the dry. We know, again, he'll be comfortable in these conditions as well when he's going down the descent that's coming after this climb.
And his team have been doing their best to try and get him into the right position for this sector. We also heard from Tadej Pogačar. Was he kidding? Was he being honest? He said this is where he was going to attack, and he has Tim Wellens just in front of him. Isaac Del Toro's been doing a big job. Matej Mohoric starts to show himself as towards the back in the meantime for Groupama FDJ. That's young Lenny Martinez in the blue jersey, just alongside a rider going backwards, who is Logan Curry. Well, he spent a lot of energy in the early part of the race. He was trying to get in a very early 7-man breakaway that didn't stick today because Tom Squinch was a member of it.
I was surprised to see Squinch actually trying to go up the road in a breakaway in the first place. You know, given the form that he's clearly in, he should be up there with the favourites when the hammer goes down, wherever that might be today. But yeah, still a reasonable sized group, but kind of coming together slightly, didn't we, after we got our first live images? It was a very small group that I first saw, and after that it kind of came back together again. Not to a whole peloton, obviously. Like you've mentioned, lots of abandoners, lots of people minutes down the road already, or minutes off the back of this group. So yeah, but still a very select one at the front, 50 or so riders, but most of the favourites that we would expect to be there are. Ineos clearly working for Tom Pidcock today. We've got Kim Hajduk's been on the front for quite a bit, at least protecting his leader. I noticed that he did a pretty good time in training up Le Tolfe the other day. Him and Michał Kwiatkowski gave it a nudge up there.
Is that your sector?
No.
Oh. We'll revisit that. Just see how difficult this is. There's a lot of climbing, a lot of technical descending, as you mentioned. This is Simmons on the uphill part. We've got several riders going backwards, and this is a race from altri tempi, as they say in Italian, from other times. It's designed to be like that. We know it's a modern classic, but they lean on the heroic nature of things, don't they? And the weather's adding to that, and you can see they are literally swinging left and right. Right.
Still 83 kilometres to go, and you can just get the sense of the suffering that's already happened in this race before we got any of our live pictures, with just body language of the riders coming out the back here. One of them being Tijmen Allensman of Ineos Grenadiers. Again, we don't know how much work he's already done for his team at this point.
Let's go to Jens Vogt out there on the moto.
We are here at the next gravel section, 11.5 kilometers long, and as you can see, it is wet, it's muddy, it's really windy and a lot colder than we expected it to be. It's some pretty harsh conditions for the riders. It's slippery on the uphills and quite tricky on the downhills now with the strong side winds and the wet surface. So extra careful. All these riders have to be here. And back to the commentators.
Wow. Well, we've just had a chance to have a breath as Jens Vogt is even Jens Vogt is finding it difficult out there on the motorbike. We finally managed to get beyond our technical demons, and Adam Blythe is alongside him. Adam, you're watching, you're trying to pick out what's happening. There's loads happening. What is happening here is Tadej Pogačar's coming good on his promise. He's set Tim Wellens to work. He's on the wheel, and not many can follow now. Sepp Kuss-Can, Ben Healy just in that second group, getting caught out.
This is going to be a big move, I think. If Tadej Pogačar goes this early on, and where we think he's going to go, that's a long road ahead of him. It's been hard for quite a long time. We spoke about the break this morning. Nathan's going to come in later on, Van Hooijdonk, and he was talking about, you know, if you're in the breakaway, you can sort of get that distance. By the time the leaders get to you, they've lost that sharpness a little bit. They've been riding so hard already that I know they've still got that sharpness now, but by the time they might go on the attack, all that sharpness have deadened a lot of riders' legs, where Pogačar can't just ride off on his own, because I just think there's a lot of quality within this peloton still, and it's a long way to go. And if it's been hard already, that he's not really going to surprise anyone in terms of he's so much better than the rest. He is Tadej Pogačar, obviously, but I just think this is a real... If he does go where we think he's going to go, with only what we can see, 2 teammates left, it's going to be a hard ask for him, I think.
Trying to see where Tom Pidcock is at the moment. I think it's Magnus Sheffield, the first Ineos rider, in around about 20th place at the moment, but I haven't seen Tom Pidcock. I don't know if he had a problem or if he's just not got the legs today, but from what I've seen, he's just coming over the brow of the hill there, I think, but not as close to the front as I would expect at this point in the race.
Oh, you mentioned Ben Healy as well. He's just at the back of this group that seems to have made contact again with the first group, and that first group is bigger, but it's mightily small for where we are.
It is mightily small, and there's one benefit for these small roads as well for the riders in the front of that peloton, is that motorbike cannot go around these corners quick enough. The bikes can catch them up a little bit. So if you notice there, every time they come out of a corner, Tim Wellens, Tadej Pogačar about 3-4 back, they've got that little bit of shelter. Here we go.
81 kilometres to go. Make a note of that number, because Tadej Pogačar, who went on a 50-kilometre solo raid 2 years ago, has taken off and nobody can match his power. It's a long way to the finish here in these epic, as you described, Dan Lloyd, biblical conditions.
It's a long way to go. Doesn't matter who you are, even if you are Pogačar, 81 kilometres on your own is an awful long way to go solos. I'm surprised he's gone not to try to take at least somebody with him that's prepared to work, prepared to try and take it all the way to the finish line. But that said, they've spent so long drilling it on the front UAE, there's probably not that many teams with multiple riders to start doing work on the front behind him.
Adam, he looks around 2-3 times. Sepkus tries to follow. Wellens has done his job. Quinn Simmons can't hack the pace either. Chris Neyland is up there for Israel Premier Tech. And just nobody has the watts, even without him having raced a single competitive pedal stroke this year, to follow him.
It's just bonkers, like 80k to go, just thinking this is okay to do it, you know. It's crazy. The gap he's got already, it's bonkers. Like Dan said, there's not many teams that are together, but there are a select amount of teams. I think they just need to work together. You know, they've got so far to go, settle into the rhythm, use one another, help one another. Sepp Kuss is still there, Quinn Simmons is still there. Got the rider from Israel Premier Tech that's still there. Neyland's in there as well. So there's enough riders within this group to be able to work together and try and minimise that gap. You know, it's not about catching him immediately. Like I talked about the motorbikes, how close they are, the benefit he's getting from each and every single one of these riding into the back of them.
Well, this is Tom Pidcock's stretch of road, isn't it, from last year? We saw him come round the corner there. Pogačar this time doing a Pidcock. Behind, there's several riders here. I mean, Dan, surely Pogačar knows he's not going to go at 81k. Surely he's thinking, OK, I might break things up here, but hope that a group develops after this.
Well, it'll be hoping to get updates in his own race radio about what's happening behind and an update on exactly what his time gap is. But just scary when you look at the calibre of rider in the background of shot as he went in the saddle. You know, Sepp Kuss, one of the best climbers in the world. He tried to go with him. He had another acceleration to go after that point. Sepp Kuss was like, I can't follow that. It's just an impossibility. So they will need to collect themselves. They'll also need to not panic. You know, we have seen Pogačar blow up in the past, spectacularly, of course, at the Tour de France a couple of years ago. So it's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination.
He told us he'd attack here, and that's exactly what he's done. Tadej Pogačar turning his first pedal strokes in anger in 2024, in a year where he's going to take on both Giro d'Italia and Tour de France. And Isaac del Toro, his teammate, is still following in the group behind and looking very good. Now, Christophe Laporte's in here, Matej Mohoric, Maxim Vochils is up towards the front as well. He's the rider in the red jersey that's now covered in mud. Behind, we saw Carlos Canal being dropped. He's had a very good start to the seasons from Movistar. One of his teammates is up towards the front, but there ain't many left.
I really hope, I know he's got 23 seconds already, but he's got 79 k's to go still. I hope they just don't sort of admit defeat already, you know, and sort of forget about him and concentrate on riding for second. Yes, that gap will start to extend quickly because of the terrain they're on now. It suits Pogačar, but you can see from behind, no one's really working together as of yet. They're just sort of watching each other to be like, you take it up. No, I'm not going to take it up just yet. No, I'm not. Ben Healy on the front now, a guy that can just hold that high power for a long time. That's what they need. They all need to work together. They just need to minimise that gap going out way too far, because if it does, it's going to be even harder to catch.
This is Maxim Vochils of Lotto Destiny. Ben Healy, the Irish champion, was following on. I've just spotted Leonard Kemna in this group as well for Bora Hansgrohe. We'd seen Sergio Higuita, his teammate, being dropped with the Spanish rider I was mentioning, Carlos Canal. It's 26 seconds, counting, increasing, growing, and there's still 6 kilometres to go on this Sector 8.
It's a long way to go as well. It's a long way to go, not just on this sector. He'll be into his rhythm now. He'll be concentrating on this sector. We heard from Philippe Gilbert at the start that Tadej Pogačar wanted to go at that exact point. He held to his promise, but it's still a very, very long way to go. 78k.
Made it exciting. He always does that. I hope you didn't have to turn up slightly late for our broadcast today. If you did, I'll fill you in very quickly. Adam Bly's laughing in the background. That's because Tadej Pogačar, the man on your screen, riding competitively for the first time in 2024, he's hoping to start this year as he finished last year, attacking solo and winning in Italy. That was at the Giro di Lombardia. He told the interviewers this morning that he would attack here at this 5-star sector, longest of the race, Monte Sante Maria. Look into the distance, it's spectacular. But Pogačar, the Slovenian champion, has no time to check things out. He'll have taken in the scenery on his recon ride. He's come with white frosted hair tips to what he called the white road race. It's more like the brown roads today because it has been lashing it down with rain in the last 15 minutes. It has stopped, but it's changed the surface underneath. The race has been changed by Pogačar, though, and nobody else. He has Maxim von Hills of Lotto Destiny chasing. He's 400 metres behind, translating to 31 seconds. Grows to 32 as I finish the phrase. Ben Healy's there as well. He's in this group, and he's brought Christophe Laporte with him. But look at them, Dan Lloyd. They're being marked.
Well, when speaking to you on the lead up to this race, Rob, I did say that UAE Team Emirates at this race looked very similar to Visma Lease Bike 1 week ago at Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. You look down the list of riders and think, well, on their day, most of these guys could conceivably be on the podium or even win this race. And despite doing all that work to set this attack up from Pogačar, Wellens is clearly on good form. Isaac Del Toro, we know what he's capable of. Only turned pro at the start of this year, but already a stage win at the Tour Down Under. I have noticed that there are at least, I'm pretty sure there's 4 Visma Lease Bike riders in this group. So they're not all in their yellow jerseys, of course, but you've got Kuss there for sure. Laporte we've seen going up the road. Pretty sure Bart Lemon is there as well, one of their new recruits. So they've got some numbers to play because Attila Valter's there as well.
I don't know. I'm just trying to look now. Sepp Kuss has just drifted a long way back in that group. He started at the front. I don't know. I'm just trying to see a shot where he might look like he's got a bit of a technical problem because he's going back very quickly under these circumstances.
That's not what Visma Lease Bike need. Maybe the Jensi's got some intelligence for us because I'm being told we're going to Jens Vogt on the motorbike.
We're here at the very front of the race, and in a few seconds, Tadej Pogačar is going to come flying past us on this gravel section. The sun is out again, the weather changes dramatically here over the time, and there he comes, Tadej Pogačar, going all in, all solo, with almost 80 kilometers to go. What a legendary ride that is. Fingers crossed, everybody stay safe, and we are up for a thrilling finale. Back to the commentators.
Hold your horses, Jensi. There's a long way to go yet, but yes, it is looking like it could be the foundation for something pretty spectacular. An update, while Jens has been talking, it's 37 seconds now to Maxim von Hills. Tadej Pogačar, in the space of 3 to 4 kilometres since his attack, has taken a minute now on the chasing group.
It's just unbelievable. It's not unbelievable because it's Tadej Pogačar, but it's just unbelievable that he can take this much time out of someone so quickly. He has still got a long way to go. It's 39 seconds to Van Gils here, so it's still almost a minute to the chasing group with 2 teammates in, sat pretty as well. It's going to be a hard one for Van Gils here to know what to do.
I was just thinking, it's amazing how this dynamic changes the mindset of the... If Pogačar wasn't in this race, would Maxim van Gils think this is a good idea to go off the front on his own with 76 k's to go, which is effectively what he's done. You know, there are riders that he could work with behind, but he knows there's somebody up the road that he's kind of chasing, as it were, even though the gap still continues to go upwards. And like I said, over a minute now, in the space of, he attacked with 81 k's to go. I wrote down 78.7, he had 26 seconds. And now with 76 k's to go over the chasing group, if you ignore Maxim van Gils, it's gone over that minute mark already.
I'm looking at Benoit Cosnefroy, who's in this group. They're about to be joined by a few other riders, including Filippo Zana of Italy, the former national champion. He's now racing in those Jayco Alula blue, red and white colours. And in the white and black, and his national colours, it's Tadej Pogačar. Well, it's day one, and I'm already running out of things to say about him.
While I was laughing earlier, I was going to say, I hope you've got your notes ready about Pogačar. We're going to have to talk a lot about him, I think, Rob. This sounds awful, but I hope he goes I hope this succeeds for him, because it is spectacular. It'll go down in the history books forever and ever. A solo attack, 80 k's to go. But I hope he goes through a little bad patch where things start to get a little bit closer, that he can just hang on. But just for the race in itself, you know, imagine there's so many riders, so many teams that are in this race that are all doing the same things. They're here to win. One bloke attacking with 80 k's to go, it's absurd. The level, I mean, like the jump between levels is bonkers.
I mean, I am generally sitting here shocked.
Yeah. I've not seen this. The last time I saw this, but he jumped away with another rider, was when Van der Poel in Kerner said, I'm going to lead out Tim Malia, and he attacked with 88 k's to go.
Narvaez, yeah.
Yeah, with Narvaez, yeah. It's the longest lead out in history.
Now, this is the chase behind, and it is a bit of a chase now because Ineos Grenadiers are doing a little bit of working. They're working together. You've got two riders here, Pidcock being in the second wheel. There is Laporte. In there, by the way, for Israel Premier Tech, still Chris Nailons. And what do we have? 15 riders?
Yeah, there's 15 in there. My worry is with this, there's enough teams within there. Let's not forget, there's only two riders up the road. One Tadej Pogačar, the other one Maxim Van Giels. There's two Ineos Grenadiers riders. There are two Visma Lease bike riders. Pretty sure there's two Movistar riders in there as well. So there's enough teams that can all come together and ride on the front together rather than just leaving it to one team. I just, like, accepting saying we'll just let them do the work and see what happens. I just think it's the wrong tactic.
The Movistar rider who was towards the front there was Davide Formolo, and we've not seen him too much in his new jersey yet. But he's a man who knows this race. He's been up there in this race. There's a bit of pressure on him as well because there's only ever been one Italian winner among the men of this race, and that was Moreno Moser. In what seems like, I mean, it was a different race then, as we see a crash here. Two involved. Screens is the man getting his bike. This is Simmons, and that looks like it's hurt.
Yeah, that was a strange situation. Well, they must have been sat together there, but Screens definitely didn't want to wait for... Check he was all right then. That was a pull my bike off of him and get going. But yeah, it's never good in this situation. Here's the replay. Right towards the back. Oh, Simmons is looking down.
He's on the radio.
Oh. I think he just got caught then on the radio in that deep little bit of sand on the right-hand side. Lost his front wheel, and that was it. Down they went, but... Yeah.
Benoit Kuznefroy was lucky there. He was the rider just behind for Decathlon, I should have said. By the way, Van Giels is now a minute from Pogačar, and we're waiting for an updated gap as it's Magnus Sheffield pulling Tom Pidcock here. There's a rider in there from Intermarché as well. This is Kuznefroy, who we mentioned. That is Leonard Kemner, who's in the green. Ben Healy is the rider in the green and white for the Irish National Championship jersey. He, of course, races for Bora Hansgrohe. I hazard a guess that maybe Intermarché are represented by Lorenzo Rota, I think, in
so.
there. And they're starting to work.
They're starting to work. They're starting to rotate at the front, which is good. Ineos Grenadiers have come off the front there, but if you look who's second wheel, Del Toro just sat there, you know. It's Antin Wellen's third wheel. Like I said before, you know, I don't want teams to just accept it and go on as they are. Here's Squeeze trying to get back onto the back of those riders after his crash with his teammate. But with those two, Del Toro and Tim Wellens just sat second and third wheel. That's another 6-7 seconds before someone comes past them, keeps the tempo high. It just disrupts that chase a little bit, which, yes, they're doing the right thing, but it's just not great for that group in general, really. 1:35, 1:08 back to them at the minute. No, 1:36, wow.
This is such a shame for Thomas Schoen as well, because this is an effort that he would have loved to have saved for later on in this race, but he's been forced into chasing onto this group, and he knows there's only a few hundred metres left of this particular sector, and the chase becomes even harder once you get back onto the road, because there'll be more of a semblance of organisation in the group that he's chasing, you would imagine, and make it even more difficult for him to get back on.
Go on, Sepp.
Well, Sepkus, whatever his travails and problems were, maybe mechanically, as suggested, he's on the attack and on the chase now. Certainly at least trying to get the group going behind. And as you said, it's not easy to get going behind because you saw what happened. He goes to the front there and he's got the anchors on him. The two white jerseys, teammates of this man, are doing it. There is Pogačar. He said he would attack on the hardest sector today. He's done that. Monte Santa Maria is out of the way. We now have the longest part of the race without any dirt sectors to go.
You can just see him here, Rob, coming out these corners. It's like he's got off of it and he's just easing himself into it. He's not getting off the sector and sprinting. It's almost like, right, you've got your gap, now just cruise, you know, not cruise, but just riding that tempo that you're not full gas at. You're not worried about them getting back to you. Just ride what you come to with. So getting off the section, just cruising out of it, getting into it, letting the road, the gravity of the job just bring him back into the race a little bit.
So 141 to Pogacar. Maxime Vochils has an issue here, doesn't he, Dan? Because he's only got 22 seconds on those behind him.
Yeah, like I said, if Pogacar wasn't off the front, I don't think he'd have found himself in this situation of being alone off the front of the chasing group with still 80 kilometres to go when he went. So I'd imagine that when he hears the time gap coming off this sector, he'll realise that the better thing to do is just to wait for this group, sit in for a while, try and, you know, get some energy back into his legs, because that's a big effort that he's done just dangling off the front of this group, and it's a big effort that this man's done, but worth it because Tom Schgoin is just about to get himself back in.
Well, we guessed wrong on the Intermarché front. That is Francesco Bozzato, man from northern Italy. He's moved from the development team. He won the under-23 edition of Liège-Bastogne-Liège in, well, just less than a year ago. So
which
he
is
can
becoming
climb.
more comparable to this race that we were looking at.
Yes. Yeah, there's now 4,000 metres, Adam, of climbing in this particular race. It was already difficult to pigeonhole as it was, wasn't it, Strade Bianche? You've got to be able to climb to win this now.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to climb in the recent years as well, but it's just adding that extra little layer on top of making a race what is already brilliant, what is already hard, making it super hard, making it super difficult. You know, it's that extra 30k that they've got, the extra amount of climbing. It's halfway to Everest. It's bonkers.
Yes, there is a number under there. It's usually the last number of those three where he finishes.
That'll be his time gap soon.
Tadej Pogacar has 2 minutes on the chasing group, 1 minute 30 on Maxime Vochils. A caveat, and a pretty big one, there are still 70.5 kilometres to go, and this is Tadej Pogacar's first race of the season. You can see that there. A winner 2 years ago. Then we thought it was extremely special, didn't we, when he attacked at 50 kilometres from the finish. Today he went at 81, and now basically we're watching, wondering, enthralled in this, what we're seeing, whether he can pull it home. So that's been pretty breathless. That's been pretty exciting, Monte Santa Maria. For those of you watching on television, in a moment we're going to take a breath. For those of you who would like to watch uninterrupted without any ads, make sure, if you're in Europe, it's Discovery Plus, in the United States on Max. And when we come back from the break, we're going to have a very special guest with us. I'll give you a clue who it is. Former teammate of his is just getting back on the bunch now.
Hey, in about 4 years' time, Pogacar will probably attack 160k to go, and it'll be completely normal. Oh, here he goes.
I don't think there's one point since he's attacked where that time gap has ticked down by a second. Yeah. It's just continued to rise the whole time.
Off for a break if you're watching on the telly. See you in a moment. And breathe.
That's the last thing they want to be doing. They need to be stressing that gap's going out, Rob. You can't be breathing now.
I'm tired just watching this. It's exhausting.
It is. This is the third group on. Oh no, it's not.
This is the chasing group.
This is the chasing group. So they've got riders back there. Aronsman's back in there. So there's riders that have come back across to them.
That looks like Carlos Canal a bit further back. He's actually not getting back on the group yet. He was desperately fighting on. Valter did get back on.
Yep.
Of course, the Hungarian national champion. Davide Formolo, the only representative then for Movistar in that group. And it's 2 minutes for Tadej Pogacar. A different look to his bike than last time he was riding away on his own here.
Well, he's brought his spare tube with him as well, Rob. Got his saddlebag on.
Well, on that front, Matej Mohoric still in the chasing group. Let's not forget about him, but so difficult to see who does what here. Again, unless there is a real concerted effort with teammates getting back in to try and pull this back together.
Yeah.
That's what it needs.
It does. I mean, this is a problem, though. I think with 68 Ks to go still, you can almost argue the fact, don't get carried away just yet, you know, just ride into it, see who starts work, because there is a chance that this might cut back, and you don't want to waste all your energy now, you know. You need to use the teams around, you need to use the other riders. But with that, you can't let the gap go out too far as well. I know 2 minutes, if it was any other situation, if there was a break of 5 still away right now, you'd still be like, there's a break of 5 still, 68 Ks to go, 2 minutes. You'd be like, they'll bring them back. But this now, it's Tadej Pogačar out the front.
Yeah.
You know, it's completely different situation.
Well, the situation's ever evolving, ever changing. This is Maxime Vochils, who's being chased back now. He's been an exciting rider to watch in the opening weeks of this season for Lotto Destiny. Of course, he was the winner of that strange old time trial we had in Andalusia the other week, when there was no proper racing in terms of the stage race. But Maxime Vochils is just 24 years of age. He's come back from a suspension for a little bit of fisticuffs at the end of the Japan Cup last year, suspended for 25 days for maybe letting his anger get the better of him, might be a polite way of saying it, but probably disguising the fact, saying that was something that shouldn't have been done. But he served his suspension for it. And of course, he's a rider who is getting better and better. We saw him in the Tour de France last year, not forget. Remember the stage that was won by Michał Kwiatkowski up to Grand Colombier?
Yeah.
He was the man who finished right up there, just ahead of the rest of the GC group.
Yeah.
So he's already been up there in the top 3 with Pogačar on a mountain stage. Let's see where he can get today.
Yeah, I mean, he's going well, isn't he? He's going well. He's back in that group now. I think if he tried to stay out there on his own, it's a wrong thing to do. I think when he went, he was hoping someone might come with him, but with a group this big chasing him behind, I think the right thing to do is just sit with him rather than dangle a little bit.
Welcome back. You're watching Strade Bianche between Siena and Siena, over 215 kilometres. Adam Blythe with me, Rob Hatch, and it's at this point, with Tadej Pogačar off the front, that we're going to welcome a very special guest. Nathan Verhooydonk is with us in the commentary box. And Nathan, you're a classics connoisseur. Can you ever remember anything like this?
I don't think I've ever seen something like this before. It's also, when he said in his starting interview he was going to attack at 80k to go, I assumed it was an attack with his teammates to try and get in front with 15-20 riders, but to go solo here must mean he's super motivated and already in a really good shape, because these riders in the second group, they're among the best 20 riders in the world, let's say, and still, yeah, the clock hasn't gone down.
So for your former teammates in here, Sepp Kuss, I can see that there's Lemon still there, I think, as well. Christophe Laporte, the European champion. Attila Valter. They've got 4 riders. Ben Tullet is in there as well, we think, maybe?
No, I think it's Sepp,
it's Sepp.
Christophe, Attila Valter, and maybe Milan Vader.
Milan Vader.
Yeah.
So there is a 4th rider from Visma in there. How do they work to try and stop this man?
I think you really quickly need to make the change towards how can we become second and maybe third. You can try and limit.
Already with 66 Ks to go, that's it, you throw the towel in.
Looking at the time gap and how the time gap has evolved, I mean, he attacked at 80k to go, 14k later he has a gap of 2 minutes and 16 seconds. I mean, it's
it's so fast. It's nuts.
It's crazy. I've never seen something like this in a one-day race. And also, yeah, who are you going to put on the front to close the gap?
This is the moment he went, and as you say, Nata, he'd announced it to us on the microphones earlier on, and because it's Pogačar and his jovial nature, you think he's joking, you think he's having a laugh. He was not having a laugh. Tim Wellens went to work. Sepp Kuss tried to follow him, and you know that when Sepp Kuss can't follow somebody going uphill, serious numbers are involved.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Tadej has an extreme 1-minute power burst. Sepp is more of a steady climber. Let's say if there were another rider in the wheel of Tadej when you went, one with a little more, let's say Tom Pidcock, he maybe would have been able to follow Tadej. But yeah, that's also, he went because he looked over his shoulder. He didn't see one of his biggest rivals in his wheel. That's how he tried to put pressure.
So it's not just about the numbers, is it? It's looking who's there, who might be able to respond, who can't respond, and thinking, hang on a minute, this is my moment.
Yeah, of course. that's the case. It's not about who has the best legs. It's about tactics. It's about looking who's where and when can I surprise somebody.
Let's have a look at the composition of this chasing group then, because this is Teeman Arendsman who's riding on the front, the Dutchman. He's with Sheffield, who's a few riders behind. 2 riders for Lotto Destiny are in here. You can see Lenny Martinez, apparently, according to the graphic at least, has got back here. He had been one of the riders who'd been dropped off the back, hadn't he? And Madouas, the French champion, interestingly not in there. You can see that is Tula, it says on the graphic here. Again, we'll have a closer look, if we can, at the Visma Lease bike outfit. And Mate Moritz joining Del Toro and Wellens, who are the riders in the white jerseys just trying to put the brakes on, trying to put the anchor on whoever's at the front, stopping people working around, stopping people getting organised. Now, we've got 64 kilometres of a 215k race still to go, but let's rewind the clock to Philippe Gilbert earlier on.
So we are with the number 1 of the Strade Bianche, Tom Pidcock bike, and as you can see, they're getting ready with the pressure and the last minute details. And we have a 30 section tire. The height of the rims is like 30, 35 depending of the setup, but pretty much 35 for those riders of Ineos. And about the pressure, we have around 4 bars. This is the average of the team. And how they found out that they need 4 bars is because they test that and speak with the staff and with the mechanics, and they average 4 bars for every riders in the team. And as you can see, the profile is classic, nothing specific for this race. So it's the same profile they used at Newsblad and the same profile they're going to use in the next race. So this is how the Ineos Grenadiers will race today.
A lot of different tech involved here. You can have all the tech in the world, you've got to have the legs, Adam.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's like, Nathan will know a lot about this. The amount of like equipment, the detail, everything that has to go into cycling now. It is for the marginal gains, like really tiny little gains. A few watts here, a few watts there. Bike riding's never changed. It's who's the fittest in the race, it's who's the strongest in the race. You put Pogacar on any other bike in this peloton, he's still going to be able to do the same thing, ultimately. But you've got to have the tech to be able to give you the best possible chance to get your best possible result. But yeah, bike riding's always going to be about how much training you do, how strong you are, no matter what equipment you're on.
Just over 20 riders are now chasing Tadej Pogacar. 1 really riding at the front and committing in Teeman Arendsman. We know he's strong, we know he's more of a stage racer than a one-day racer. But with all the extra climbing involved here, something like this should suit him today. In terms of that tech, because I know that a lot of people watching at home will be really interested in what we just saw with Philippe Gilbert there. The testing seems to occur earlier and earlier and earlier, doesn't it, each year? I mean, I've been looking at 2 or 3 months ago, people were already over in Roubaix and testing tyres and pressures and things like that, and it's carried on this week. Was that something as a real classic specialist that was important to you?
Yeah, of course. I can remember in 2022 we did Roubaix recon the day after Paris Tour. So,
wow. So the last day of the season becomes then the first day of the next one.
Last day of the season, and then we went straight to Lille. We slept in Lille.
Oh.
And then we did some equipment testing, but I think it's crucial. I mean, as soon as you stop improving, somebody else will pass you. And then what you said about it comes all down to proper training. But if you have Tadej and Jonas, for example, if they're equal to each other, if one rides with good equipment and the other one has a tire with a higher rolling resistance, it's going to make a difference. Maybe not on the first day, but after 3 weeks in the Tour, it's going to make a difference. And you also need to think about, like here, you probably don't ride the fastest tire. You probably ride a tire that's a little more stiff and to avoid a puncture, which can save you energy in the end. So.
Doesn't look to be a great deal of energy left in this group. They're working. They're starting to peg the gap at what it was. Pogacar isn't losing time now, Adam, but it's more or less the same. 2:22 has gone down for the first time since I've been looking at it. He's lost a single second. That's not going to panic him, is it? But we've got a slight change in that he's just had his glasses handed in for cleaning. There we go. He's going to be able to see the next time he gets onto a cobbled sector again. Interesting here. How does Pogacar approach this mentally? And he will know that they're obviously going to ride behind, but he also knows he's got two teammates in here who are stopping things. It's a long and lonely ride still. Again, I say this, trying to impart the biggest amount of disbelief I can, with 61 Ks to go as Valentin Madouas makes an appearance now.
Yeah, problem here for one of the Trek riders. Tom Scoynes again coming on, changed his bike after that crash. He had maybe a little problem with whatever it is on the bike, but he's getting back on. At least he's got the team cars to be able to help him get back on. A little bit of draft getting back in there, but I think Pogacar, he's just got to stick to what he's doing. I think, if you look at his body language, you look at the way he's sitting on the bike, he doesn't look under pressure at all. He looks like he's, I'm not going to say out on a training ride, but it looks like he's doing efforts out in training, like on a climb where he's just ticking away, doing a hard effort, but not too much. He doesn't have to worry about anyone behind him. The corners, he can have that little bit of extra recovery, and he knows when he'll have to push on, when not. He'll get the time gaps from behind, and ultimately here for him now, it's one-on-one. It's like there's one guy chasing, If the others started to commit to chasing, which they probably won't, because they want to be able to try and get on the podium, give themselves the best possible chance. Yep. But for Tadej now, it's just him against Arensman. The only difference is Arensman will go until he's absolutely done and then sit up.
Mauri van Sevenant has just made it in.
Yeah.
Didn't even have to look at the number because you know his style, don't you?
You do, yeah. Very recognisable style.
That's young Busato at the front. He's impressed today. Winner of Liège last year in the under-23s. First year pro now for Andermatt. And it's the only man left for his team here.
Arensman already sits up now.
So a key moment then in the race here, because this could be it right now.
You can look at the clock right now. It's going to be, you're going to get 30 seconds for free, but it's not going to be long. It's not going to be long before attacks will come from this group, because now they think like, if I can get, I'm not the fastest from this group. Guys like Formula, for example, maybe I can get ahead and start the final with a slight advantage.
It's exactly like you said. It's almost like, right, we're racing for second.
Yeah.
It's crazy with this far to go. Like I said, if a breakaway was still away now, 2 minutes 30 from the start of the day, you'd be like, yeah, they'll get that back easy. But at this rate, it's just, it wouldn't surprise you if they finished with 3 minutes at the end of the day, the way these guys are riding. They've just accepted it, so it's kind of like, we don't really care about what's happening now. Let's try and get on the podium.
Well, Nathan, you were just saying a minute ago that, well, these guys will be thinking about second and third. It's difficult, I know, for a lot of people watching the telly at home to believe that, and from where I'm sitting as not being a pro bike rider at all, difficult for me to believe, but that's exactly what's happening, and this group now is going to play out. We're just seeing Romain Bardet come into the screen for the first time as well. Just under 60 Ks to go. Now then, we've got these moves.
Bardet. You just mentioned him. Bardet on the front attacking, so he was at the back. Van Sevenant on his wheel.
No, it's Cosnefroy.
Oh, sorry.
Cosnefroy comes through now. Of course, he's got the real Strade Bianche mud face on there. First mud fest since 2018, when, of course, it was Tish Benoot who took what was the first win of his career back then. Very special place for Tish. And I know he's watching at altitude after a training ride today. He's with your good mate Wout van Aert and with Jan Tratnik as well. And Bertrand Hagenes, I think, is up there too.
Yes, just the four of them. Small training camp, but it's always, a small group is always nice.
And look at this in the background. UAE, it looks like Wellens coming across to it. He's not missing a beat. Let's not forget, if this gap goes clear, Wellens can afford just to sit on the back, get a free ride. UAE in an extremely good position where they just have to follow the moves. And if they get into the move and it splits, it's perfect. You have to beg the question here. We know we saw Arensman sitting up. There's three guys there from Ineos Grenadiers, and it looks to be like one of them's trying to get on the back, but with riding on the front, strength in numbers, these are the moves you can't miss if you've got strength in numbers. It's like Visma Lease bike as well. I don't think they've got a rider in there either.
Which is a surprise given the numbers that are in there, I guess.
Yeah, of course. They need a guy here in this group, otherwise they're going to be forced to chase it down. And you'll see soon enough, one of them will try and make the jump because they know they have to. Looks like quite a technical descent over here. So
here's a replay of the attack. If you look on the left-hand side, Bardet will come bombing round the outside. Cosnefroy on the wheel. Just manages to get round, dodges the bottle at the same time. But someone had to do this, It's just a matter of time until something kicked off. They have to keep things moving. And like you said, it's the anticipation of what might happen in the final from this group. A lot of riders within this group are treating it like this is the front group. Forget about Tadej Pogačar. This is a front group. We need to anticipate the likes of Pidcock, the likes of, you know, Del Toro in there for a fast finish as well.
It's brutal, isn't it? But I mean, when you've got somebody as good and like Tadej Pogačar, who sometimes seems like he's from a different planet, a second place is a win for a lot of these guys.
It's Van Aertveld as well, I think it is, from Lotto, not Van Gils.
Van Aertveld and Sheffield in last wheel. So yeah, Visma Leasebike is the only team who isn't represented, and they're gonna need to jump across quite soon or chase it down straight away, because otherwise you're gonna spend a lot of energy.
2 minutes 40 seconds for Tadej Pogačar.
I just want to come back to this quickly. What would the plan be in this situation for Visma? Would it be to jump across, or would it be to bring it all back together?
I would say try to jump across. For a rider like Seb, it's quite difficult to jump across. So I would say Christophe and Seb try to jump across, because if you jump across, you also force all your other riders to chase it down. If you chase it down, they're using you a little bit.
Well, the beauty of the picture postcard shots that you normally see on this race might give us a nice warm fuzzy feeling. Tuscany, it's rather nice, isn't it? But it's very much at odds with that. The mud, the warrior-like performances on the bike, everything you have to do to haul your bike up these horrible roads. It's a race that's from another time, but of course in its brilliant modern guys, and we've got some brilliant modern racers here. This is Chris Nederlands, who's the last remaining man at the front of the race. Well, behind Tadej Pogačar, that is. 2 minutes 40 seconds behind the man who attacked at 81 k's to go. Nederlands there in a group including Romain Bardet, who started the last move, and Benoît Cosnefroy. And Romain Bardet, well, we don't yet know if this is going to be his last year. He's saying he's thinking he might finish off, he might not. So we hope we won't be seeing him at his last Strade Bianche. He's been on the podium before. Let's see how he gets on racing for DSM Firmenich Postenelle. I had to really think to remember the full name. That's a long one. I'll get there. Magnus Sheffield now in this group as well, with Tim Wellens doing the marking.
Tim Wellens right at the back. There looks to be like it is Laporte in the background. No, Healy and Formolo as well. And he's one rider behind Mohoric as well, the gravel world champion, let's not forget. Danny Martinez, is that? Or no, it's
Leonard
not.
Kemna.
Sorry.
And then just behind is Sepp and Ben Tullet, just trying to get onto the second chasing group.
Well, we saw Maxime Vochils on the move before. Leonard van Aertveld here. Already been a winner this season, of course, spectacularly on a couple of occasions, including up the top of Jebel Hafid last week. He was good in Mallorca already, but we all know that they're not the races for everybody to be shining. And then when you can back it up a few weeks later with that mountain stage win in the general classification in Jebel Hafid, you know you've got a pretty serious bike rider on your hands in Van Aertveld.
Oh yeah, crikey. This is a serious group that's going off the front right now, and Visma Leasebike, they've definitely missed this boat at the minute. You know, this is going to be, from what it is to jump across, to a full-on chase in the background. Yep. There's two riders just behind here, and let's not forget, as we said, was criticising Ineos Grenadiers, but at the same time that gap is extended, and the more they sort of don't commit to waiting, the further away it's going to get. But that gap though, still, even with the acceleration in the group, 2:38 still. It's bonkers.
This is Valentin Madouas. He's the French national champion racing for Groupama FDJ. He's got the young Italian Francesco Bozzato on his wheel. Intermarché, a Belgian team from Wallonia. But they've got 4 Italians among their number today. They've had Coleoni, Petilli and Rota lining up for them. This is Bardet, Frenchman, Cosnefroy as well from northwest France.
You see this group starts working together straight away, so they know they got rid of the likes of Laporte, Pidcock and the rest of the Visma Leasebike riders. So I think I'd be kind of panicking a little bit if I were them. So
it's a difficult one though, isn't it? Because this group now, it's a great size group. They've got rid of the riders, but that group that we're watching now, it's also big enough where you can say, I need to get some rest, I need to try and miss a few turns. You can cause disruption a little bit within it, which then if you're not working, another rider would go, well, if he's not working, I'm not working. And then that ricochets down that group, and then all of a sudden everyone's looking at each other once again going, come on, we need to work together, and it will just get back to status quo again.
looking at each other but looking at the road now, because we're moving on to sector 9 of 15. This is Montaperti, 800 metres long. It's a short one, this, but a real punishing ramp towards the end. You can see it's hard enough at the start as well.
It's a hard one, this, yeah, but let's not forget, like, he's run into this. He doesn't have to worry about other people. He can just stick to his effort. You know, on the steeper sections, when you're in the group behind, there'll be always a rider accelerating that you have to respond to. Tadej, on these steeper sections, he can just back off a little bit, don't go too high above the watts, keep the heart rate at a steady beat, get onto the flatter section. Just, it's all about just being, for him now, keeping that consistency with his heart rate, with his power, not having huge spikes in there, and that's the beauty of being on your own. We're in the group behind. You have to react to what's happening. You have to react to the other riders, which is ultimately is going to be spikes in your up and down with your power and your heart rate. He's just a monster.
He has the luxury now to take the pressure off his legs a little bit before the sector starts, and then he can go as fast as he can over the sector and regain the time he lost by recovering a little bit. So riding alone, when you have this big of an advantage, you can really play with the time a little bit.
The sun's out now. We've had all 4 seasons in one day, but one constant, and he's at the front of the race. Tadej Pogačar with 1.5 kilometres on the road over the next chasing group, still with 53 kilometres remaining.
Do they talk about this within the team? Like in Jumbo, when you're talking about this and seeing this, you're like, oh, he's going good.
We're going to come back to this in a minute, because here's Jens Vogt.
Sorry.
So, a few motorbikes coming past us. We're on the next gravel section. Here comes the man of the day, Tadej Pogačar. And look at the body language. Look at the pedal stroke. He still has really smooth pedal stroke. There's team cars following him, full-on support for him. To me, Tadej Pogačar looks like the winner. What do you guys think back home there to the commentators? To me, he looks like the winner of the day. What is your thoughts about that? And back to you guys.
Well, you heard him.
Thoughts are, Jens, you've just made our job a lot harder to try and pick everyone up behind, to try to get everyone to believe that he's going to blow up or something. No, I mean, he does look like he can be the winner, but for me, like 52k, there's still a heck of a lot of climbing to go, and there is a great possibility that Tadej Pogačar, as Dan said earlier, when Pogačar blows up, it's spectacular.
Well, remember Lombard at the end of last year? He made it in the end, didn't he? But he was struggling.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, 80 kilometers on.
Here's Healy in the meantime.
On these roads, I mean, it's an effort of 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours 20. You're riding alone. It's incredible. I mean, it's. I think for the people at home, it's hard to understand what we're looking at today.
It's hard for me to understand. I'm lucky enough to be sitting with you guys. It's incredible. Here's Ben Healy. Nice to see him fighting here. Of course, he loves racing in Italy, doesn't he? Enjoyed the Giro last year, and we enjoyed watching him. I think he's probably going to make his Tour de France debut this year. That's the plan anyway for EF Education Easy Post.
Starting off probably trying to get that trilogy, the stage wins. So they've got now in the last 52 Ks, I've just had a look, they've still got 1,200 metres of climbing left within 52 Ks. It's a lot.
And that means they've got 2,800 metres already in the legs as well.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But what I was saying earlier, asking Nathan, is that is it within Jumbo-Visma now, if you're watching this at home, like the riders that are watching it, the likes of Wout, the likes of Jonas, are they watching this and thinking, ooh, this, have you got a WhatsApp group?
We have a WhatsApp group, and I think within Visma Leasebike,
it's sorry, very good, very good.
Somebody's still on brand.
Yeah. I mean, of course, all the riders in the peloton, including his biggest opponents like Jonas and Wout, we have a lot of respect for his efforts. I mean, what he does today is remarkable. It's incredible. So I think it's super special, and you can only look at it with the greatest respect.
Yeah.
Attila Valter of Visma Leasebike, just going south there at the wrong time. Zana starting to lose contact as well. Lenny Martinez, much talked about this week after his performance at La Guelia, again going backwards. Kemna's here at the front though.
it's good to see that Ben Healy, even though the race is 4,000 meters of climbing, he still thinks about his aerodynamics.
Oh, here we go.
Now this is Del Toro, is it?
Yeah, Del Toro, yeah. It looks like Del Toro has had a crash earlier in the day as well, because his left sock is considerably lower than his right sock. Yeah. There you go, on the left-hand side. So he might have had a crash earlier on, but he's got... Is it Sepp in front of him yet? Come on, Sepp, get on his wheel, mate.
Well, this for Visma Lease Bike, again, is something that is going to add to the worries again, isn't it? Because Falter has already gone backwards, and we're looking at around, what is it, half a minute, yeah.
Yeah, it's not looking great at the moment. I mean, but I think it was kind of a tactical battle going away, but I remember it was a slight drag uphill. It's also the legs. So, I mean, for a rider like Christophe, he was the only classics rider really to be still in the front group. I mean, can't really blame him for not being there now anymore. So.
Oh, is this the third group on the road, or is this?
No, that was the chasing group.
Is Christophe in this group now? I'm sure I just caught a little glimpse of him right in the middle, or it might not be. I beg your pardon, it might have been Romain Bardet as well with the white shoulders. Yeah. Christophe Laporte in the European jersey, but it is
Christophe. In this group we're seeing now, it is Christophe. Like, I think it's the rider closest to us in the white jersey with the blue band is the European champion jersey.
Yeah. There he is on the left-hand side.
So he must have bridged.
The groups have come together. Two groups have come together.
It's also Maxime Van Gils was also there, and he wasn't.
Well, Tom Pidcock is here. Romain Bardet, who's in that front group with Kuznefroy, who's just in front of him. And we're getting another move again. It looks as though that it's Nederlands once more. Christophe Laporte is in third wheel. And once more, he's attentive to everything, isn't he? He's not quite forcing the issue, but Formolo is following.
Yeah, he is, yeah. I think Nederlands as well, he's a great rider to have in this situation. I don't know if you remember the Tour de France stage that Bilbao won this year. They only caught Nederlands right at the final, and that was a year there wasn't a breakaway all day. It was just full gas racing, and he only got caught a K to go, I think.
Right, this is an important point in the race, because this is where, in the history of Strade Bianche, for the first time in years, things change.
Yep.
We're onto the circuit now. Normally, you get to Colle Pinzulto and you're going, hang on a minute, we're getting towards the end of the race now. Not this year. There's still 49 kilometres to go for the man who has almost 3 minutes of a lead on everybody else. After Colle Pinzulto, we go to Le Tolfe. Then we go to two new sectors. One that is brand new, that's never been used before. The other that we saw in the first few editions of the race that hasn't come back. Following this 30-kilometre circuit, we go to 20 Ks, a repeat of the final normal two sectors. So Colle Pinzulto that Ben Healy's trying to steal a march on, then Le Tolfe again, and after that the final 12 kilometres, up and down, narrow roads, still really tough terrain, via Santa Caterina as well, all the way to Siena.
It's a hard one. This Nathan spoke about how easy it is to change in terms of, you know, Tadej coming into the sections, having that little bit of recovery before going in. So when he gets into the section, he can go full gas across the section. You look opposite to that in the background, what Healy's doing. He's coming in already with a heart rate that's going ding, 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 ding already. So it's just the situation Pogacar's in now. Like you said, he can play with the time.
Yeah, of course you can give 10 seconds to regain 20 seconds afterwards, because this group they're gonna go full gas over the sector, which is still slower than today, and then they can't make a difference or a separation, and then they will look at each other and he will regain time again.
Well, the sector itself is 2.4 kilometres long. It has gradients up to 15%. We're dealing with double digits here, and this very, very quick, twisty road, wet road today under the shadows. There's risks that are going to have to be taken here, and I don't want to put any spoilers in for the women's race if you couldn't watch it earlier on. If you couldn't, remember, it's Discovery Plus and Max to re-watch it again. But there were incidents, there were crashes, and it, well, really needs a risk or two to be taken, and that's exactly what the riders are doing here to gain that first position, as Ben Healy is fighting for his life, and in the end, a podium.
I mean, he's like a Duracell bunny. He's up and down so much at the minute, but you look at everyone behind, everyone can get that little bit of recovery just before this, just sitting on the wheels a little bit. Yes, you have to follow, but with Healy attacking. Healy just wants to be able to go clear. He wants that room where he's just able to get into his rhythm, settle down into it, maybe with another rider where they can start to hopefully eat into that gap a little bit. But the more riders he's with, the more difficult that becomes. Tom Screens is on the front now going into it, so he's obviously recovered all right. The form he had last week in Omloop was brilliant, so he's obviously carried that on and still going good. He's obviously not going to lose it, is he? What a daft thing to say.
There's a few replies I could bring to that, but we'll concentrate on the racing, shall we?
Yeah, cheers, mate, yeah.
Because it's absolutely enthralling, isn't it? 48 Ks remain. Valter's going to get back on here. At this point in the race last year, when it was later in the race, there was the famous miscommunication he talked about afterwards. He
Sure.
was certainly a protagonist, wasn't he, last year?
Yeah, last year I think he was on a better day than he was this year. I find it quite remarkable why Healy keeps on pushing so hard on the front. He really wants separation because he knows he doesn't have a chance going with this group to the Santa Caterina, the final climb.
A few different faces coming to the front on this climb. You can see Zana on the left-hand side, a former Italian champion. Tom Pidcock was starting to get right under the wheel there of Healy, and he's been somebody who's, all right, he's been in there, but he's had Sheffield, he's had Arendsman, and this is quite the look.
Well, Rob, just as you were speaking then, the only reason I interrupted, Pidcock started to just lose that wheel ever so slightly. Not a lot at the minute. Let's not forget, this isn't to go to the finish line, but he doesn't want to let that gap grow. He doesn't want Healy getting out there. Healy, let's not forget, he's a very, very strong time trialer. He's able to go for 47k in a long breakaway. He's done it before in Grand Tours, did it at Vuelta, Giro, he's done it as well. He's very capable of it. So, like you say, he's just trying to split this group up, I think, so they can... The group's too big for it all to work together, so trying to reduce it and get that cooperation is the only reason I can see him doing what he's trying to do right now.
Mohoric now suffering as well. Two riders who've been really active, Mohoric and Neilon, start to come out the back as we get towards the end of Sector 10. 5 to go. We go to the Tolfe next, and if you're tuning in for the first time wondering, well, that might be it. No, we're on our loop. We will go back to Colle Pinsuto. We will go back to Le Tolfe. But will the time gap go back? It's not looking like it yet.
It's only gone out. That's the thing, you know, you get onto each gravel section, the riders, as we've seen, it comes down before it comes down on the steepest part of it, which it has done. But then you get to this point when you realise everyone's still together, and then everyone sits up because like, well, I'm not going to carry on doing this. Everybody's still here. I don't just want to ride along for the sake of it. It's like you said, Nathan, that everyone's almost accepted second place.
Yeah, I think you can still try to believe I can bridge across, I can go. What Maxime van Gils did actually was maybe not was a really strong move, but maybe not the smartest move because he tried to jump across to Tadej, but who can do this? I mean, Tadej is among the 3 or 4 best riders in the world. You need one of these to close him down.
The gap is now at 3 minutes officially. For the first time, Tadej Pogačar has a full 3-minute gap on the next group chasing him. You might be tuning in, seeing him away, and wondering how he got there. Well, if you'd like to find out, if you're watching on Discovery Plus, use the timeline markers service, click back, you can watch his attack, and then jump straight back to us. Is he going to take it home, though? We've been talking about that, and the gents, of course, are pretty convinced he's looking good. But again, we know that it's not always been plain sailing for Tadej Pogačar. One thing we can't hold against him is he always makes it interesting. He's still got 45 kilometres to race. And now Davide Formolo is the latest who wants to chase him. And he's going to take the young Italian this time, Busato, with him.
He'll take everyone with him. He'll take everyone with him, you know. It's almost that point where you do a little attack like that to try and get things rolling. He's come to the front to try and get things going again. Pogačar, it's not through brute force that he's got 3 minutes. It's because the gap got down to like 2:40 or whatever it was. They got to the top of that climb. Everyone looked around and went, no, I'm not doing it. I don't want to ride. And it's trying to get things going again. Healy's trying to go on the left-hand side once again now, just trying to split this group up.
But Nata, this is perfect for Pogačar, isn't it? The stop-start stuff.
Yeah, that's where you make time. I mean, he rides a constant pace which is higher than the pace the chasers ride, and then they attack a little bit, and then they come they slow down. But you see that the group, nobody is really wanting to commit to it. There are not enough helpers even to if Arendsman in Sheffield would ride, and 2 guys from Visma Leasebike would ride, and 2 guys from Lotto would ride, then you could organize kind of a chase. But this is a stop and go, and this is perfect for UAE.
Listen to that. What an atmosphere. The Kwiatkowski fans are out, but he's no longer in this front group, the 2-time winner. It's his teammate Magnus Sheffield now, who started the season really well. Really unlucky on the last day in the Algarve when a mechanical cost him that contact with the front group. But he's shown well. Second in the time trial to Remco Evenepoel.
He's going good. He's got the legs to do it, I think. You know, he's in this front group because he is going well, and he's got the legs to be able to put himself at the front here. I think with that 2-prong attack with him and Pidcock here, that they need to try and use that strength in numbers, and I just don't think riding on the front's the best way to do it. You know, for anyone with numbers in the front now, they just need to try and get one off the front, try and, you know, create that gap, because we can see the group is just too big for anyone to cooperate in. Everyone's thinking the same thing. Can I get a little bit of rest out of this group and attack later?
Eyes fixed on the prize. 44 kilometres remain.
Oh, did you see that? A little grimace for like, half a second. Half a second he went, ooh.
After 35k solo,
yeah,
you allow yourself a grimace.
Yeah. You're not clutching at straws here then?
No. I was just thinking we rarely see him grimace, but we saw one, like half a second. Ooh.
I think now the chasing group, they're not going to make any differences on the sectors. I mean, everybody knows there are going to be attacks, and everybody is so tired. Nobody is strong enough to really make a difference. Yeah. I mean, you need a sector of pavement, 10k, where it's going to be very tactical, some attacks, and then some hesitation. That's how you're going to make differences now. I don't think now on sectors somebody is strong enough to really go away. And still, if you go away, you have a group behind you, and you still have 43k to go to the finish line.
This is the difficulty with it. There's so many. This group now, it's a complete gamble of when you're going to spend your energy, and that's why everyone's sitting on, because when they choose to spend their energy, they want to be in the best shape to do it. They want to have the best possible chance. I mean, look at this. It's almost like he's just like, I'll just stretch my back a bit going into this corner. These guys would be like sprinting into it, brake, and then sprinting back out of its old position.
Brake! I just wanted to make sure. Lenny Martinez doesn't need to do that. He needs to pedal. And this is Pogacar. He's enjoying himself. He can afford to do this. He's got 3.5 minutes as he's on Le Tolfe.
That's incredible.
I know the temptation for a lot of people watching will be, this is done, this is dusted. Just remember where you are now, what you're doing, because this is something, and I fear that I'm feeling like I'm repeating myself here with this man. On occasions we see this, but we are watching something insanely special, and it's made even better by the fact that he just loves what he's doing.
I think that's one of the most beautiful things with him, is that he absolutely loves bike riding. You know, it's not really a process. You see Bardet go off the front again, trying to just split this group up, but he absolutely loves it. He adores it. I think one of the nice things with when he did the Flemish Classics, the Flemish Clash was completely different. You had Van der Poel, you had Wout in there as well, so it made it a little bit closer. The problem for Tadej is in this situation, he's so good at this sort of race, you know, the short, sharp climbs, even on pavé, the likes of the Ardennes Classics, that when he goes there, he hasn't got that huge challenge that's as close as what you get in the Flemish Classics. So it can be, I'm sure for a lot of riders, they'll look at him and be like, oh, thank God he's not riding this.
The cycling world stands for Tadej Pogacar. He's still not won it yet, but he has 3.5 minutes onto what will be the final sector in the race once he comes back for the second time. This is Le Tolfe. These are the faithful And that is their star. Tadej Pogačar leads, attacking with 81. Yes, you heard that correctly. 81 kilometers to go. If you missed it and you're watching on Discovery Plus, check out the timeline markers service. You can have a look at the attack, come back to where we are, and I guarantee he'll still be in front at that point.
I mean, it's Rob, he's on 18% gradient. I know he can't even see where he's going, but just listen to it, look at it, the speed that he's riding up there, it's just bonkers. We can't appreciate the steepness of that climb from where we're sitting, but I can assure you the speed he's going up there as now, any general rider would not be able to hold his wheel, and he's been on the attack for 40 Ks, he's done 150 Ks before this as well. It's just madness.
I'll say something to you television viewers now that we just briefly said to everybody watching on our digital platforms, by the way. And if you want to join them without any ads, it's Discovery Plus in Europe and Max over in the United States. There's a real temptation here as you see these guys slowing down, the stop-start stuff, the gap absolutely ballooning to almost 4 minutes to think, right, this is done. But just enjoy this because these races do not come along very often at all. Yes, we're going to get more moves, but Pogačar's gap is going to grow. The audacity to attack at 81 kilometers to go, telling the microphones in the morning that that's where he would attack, doing it, and still, yes, to bring it home, but don't go anywhere because this is something that you will remember for the rest of your cycling fan lives. And I think that both Nata Verhooydonk, Adam Blythe, who are with me, Rob Hatch, in the commentary box, will agree with that.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
100%.
It's bonkers. It's bonkers.
And also to have the kind of the audacity to tell the microphones before the stage.
Yeah.
I'll attack at 80k to go, and yeah, to do it, and then to success.
Oh, we've had an issue here. Riders down. Sorry to interrupt, Nata.
Healy.
That's Healy there, and it was, I think, one of the riders, Sheffield, who was forced to stop there.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I mean, back to Tadej, like what he's doing and how he's done it. It is just. I think he can say it all he wants, and he can say to a lot of people, to the whole world, in fact, that he's going to go on the attack here, and a lot of people might have thought, okay, he'll do that, that's fine, but it's still 80 Ks to go. So would you really be that worried when he said, or if he went on the attack, 80 Ks to go? I don't think anyone in this group would have thought, okay, he'll get 8 minutes, he'll get 3, almost 4 minutes. They're probably thinking he might get a minute, might get a minute and a half. Then we should be able to reel him in.
If this was any other rider, Nata, and you were in that peloton today, as a road captain in charge of Visma Lease bike riders, would you be panicking?
You mean seeing Pogačar?
Yeah, somebody attacking at 81 kilometers to go. Surely you'd still have a plan, and you'd be, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, everybody. If Tadej says he's gonna attack at 80k to go, you need to be at his wheel at 80k to go. You can only be one guy in the wheel. It was Sepp, and I think Sepp was riding or racing to win.
This is Laporte.
Sorry.
It was Laporte.
Nice.
He's now going backwards. It's both Ochils and Van Eertveld here.
Teammates as well.
Yeah. Double trouble from Lotto Destiny.
Well,
they're looking good.
This is what they need to do. They need to, like we've said it over and over again, they need to split this group up. If they come over the top of this hill and the group, problem for Laporte, they're just touching Tim Wellens' wheel at the back. But if they come together at the top again, we're just going to have the same situation. The group needs to split up. And Gilles is flying. He's
really
been off
strong.
the front one already.
Really strong. But I mean, this is a really strong performance he's showing right now. But I'm curious where it's going to bring him.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, he better go a little bit slower, take his teammate with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not that easy, but that's what you should try to attempt.
Yeah, for sure.
For Lotto Destiny, though, things are looking up, aren't they? Things are getting a lot better. They want promotion, of course. They've got another year and 3 quarters to achieve that, but they've started really well here. They've changed their staff. Dirk de Mol has come over to bring the experience in the car, and they've decided on their race calendar again, haven't they? No Giro. They want to go after those smaller races and one-day races with the likes of Arnaud Delis. It's like they really do have a plan, and they want to execute it.
They also got a really big injection into their performance budget. They really wanted to improve. They have some really talented coaches over there. They also try over time. They try to make sure every rider gets the coach from the team, which is a big improvement, I think. And you see it's already paying off. Maxime van Gils, he's a really talented rider, but you need a structural plan to plan out the season, what you're going to do. And yeah, you see he's next to Pogacar, behind Pogacar. He's probably the strongest guy in the race, because he was on Monte Santa Maria. He was the only one who had the legs to try and go behind him.
Yeah. But that's what you're saying, exactly that. You've got the strongest guy behind Pogacar in the race there. He's gone full gas up that climb, gone off on his own. His teammates alone behind him. Just hold back a little bit, you know. Even if they're together and the gap's not as big, but he gets that, 15 seconds, 20 seconds rest on that wheel, that's going to benefit both of them. Both of them will ride quicker together rather than one of them alone against each other. I don't think I've seen a race like this, though, that we've got shots from with 100k to go, and it's been as selective as this.
You can't forget it's a monument.
Nice gaff in it. Nice house.
It's beautiful. It might cost a few, Bob. Might cost a few, Bob. A few euros there. Olive groves and wine-making facilities down the hill, I'm sure, as well. There's a bit of that around here.
Not interested in that. It's not for me.
No, not you at all, Adam. No, you don't like a glass of wine, do you? Here's Valentin Madouas.
Today he puts the best riders in the world at 3 minutes and 30 seconds almost.
Not the best, not quite the best. Almost the best in this race that's up against him. You still got the likes of Jonas, Wout, Van der Poel.
That's true. Yeah. But still, this is a World Tour race, and teams they send their best riders. It's not that if he would do this in Classica Jaén, you would write an article about it, and the next day you would be like, okay, it's Pogacar. Yeah. But now he does it in Strade Bianche. I mean, they want to become the sixth monument.
Don't start that debate. We'll be here all day. But yeah, you're right. This is, I just want to mention that you mentioned Van Aert and Van der Poel, and if people are just tuning in and haven't been following the coverage recently, Wout van Aert's at an altitude camp because this year he really wants to be at his best in the Ronde and in Roubaix. And Mathieu van der Poel, he's even going to miss the stage races next week, but we will see him in Sanremo. You're watching a very special race, and perhaps one of the most special, spectacular and surprising additions. Tadej Pogacar told us at the start of the day he'd attack with around 85 k's to go. He went at 81 k's to go on Monte Santa Maria, and he's still out there. We're on to our next gravel sector. 37 kilometres remain, and we're now going to go on to the Strade del Castagno. Strade del Castagno, the only completely new sector of this race. Never ridden in this event previously until both the women and the men took it on today. It's 1.3 kilometres long, and of course in a total of 71 kilometres of off-road stuff of gravel, we're now up to 65 k's ridden. The other new features in this race being the climbing, of course, an extra 500 metres this year.
I was just thinking then, if you're Tadej Pogacar on the team bus, you're having a chat with your team about what you want to do, how you want the race to go. Can you imagine trying to explain to the team, I'm going to go on Santa Maria with 80 k's to go, and if someone follows me, great. If not, it'll be good. You can imagine the argument between a few riders. You can imagine might be a bit far, but then him doing it, and when the first 10-15 minutes of him doing that, being like, was that the right move? Was that the right move? Was that the right move? For the likes of Wellens sat there now getting the time update. Yep, no stress. Tadej's got 3:45 to you guys. You must just have a little laugh, within yourself. You must just be like, how?
Yeah, of course. But
how?
I think in the team bus, nobody dares to argue with him. I think after everything he's done, after everything he's shown, if he says, I want to go with 80k to go, you guys just need to drop me off, then you do it.
He's earned the chance to decide what he does, hasn't he?
Of course. Yeah. That's what I mean. I'm wondering, would he ride the same race if Wout and Mathieu would be in the race? Because these are, let's say it's Jonas, Tadej, Wout and Mathieu. They're the best riders in the world.
Yeah.
On a good day, I think Tom Pidcock also fits in within these five. But would he try, and would he have the balls to do the same?
I think so. Yeah. I think with Tadej he's not afraid to lose. I really don't think
because
he's afraid.
because he won so much.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think with him that he would try, and if they went with him, it's almost like that's good. I can have a little bit more rest on the wheels. I'm still capable of doing it, but I think he'd be so confident within himself that he'd be like, I'll just try again, like he did in Flanders last year on the Clermont. You know, I'll give it a try, see what happens. I don't think it phases him, which must be beautiful.
I think his absence in the classics in races like Flanders are going to influence the race quite a lot.
Yeah, massively.
Teams will have different tactics when Tadej is in the race than when he's not.
Yeah.
He's in the race today. He's at the head of the race, is Tadej Pogačar, racing for a team that's already won 10 times this season, UAE Emirates. They are on fire, they're flying before he's even turned a pedal stroke. And I'm just watching nervously here because this was the point in the women's race we saw a couple of issues.
Arensman, I think, or Sheffield, just no. He looks like he's got a problem. No, he doesn't, sorry.
It's just that the couple of turns that caused the crash earlier on, I just wondered if that might have been it, maybe gingerly taking one of those corners there. And, well, it's just a reminder, Adam, that we're watching Pogačar, we're talking about how good he is, but you've still got to have luck here, because luck, you might have an important, amazing legs, flying up the hills, but if you puncture or crash, then those ladders turn to snakes quite quickly, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, ladders turn to snakes, but he's got enough time to put a wheel in, have an espresso, and then get going again, and probably be all right. But if you just look at the front of this chase, you go, this is the back of it, the riders that are trying to get back on. You've got Van Eytveld sat first wheel, and then you've got Tim Wellens sat second wheel. So coming out of every corner, they are not even pedalling, they're just da-da-da-da. So not only...
Maybe not, maybe not. Now, this was the troublesome corner, wasn't it, earlier on? And it's proved to be the case today for Maxime Vochils.
Well held. But yeah, the two riders at the front, the two riders with two teammates out the front, they're just letting that gap grow, and the other riders are happy for the recovery again. It's in a big enough group where they're like, right, we've got to attack. Same situation again. Recover. Try and have another go to try and go clear.
I used to do all my endurance rides with Maxime.
Really?
He lives maybe 10 kilometers from where I live. And I find it very impressive to see the steps he made since he became professional, because I remember when it was his first year as a professional. We went out for 5 hours, I think, and he was cooked after 3, and he was in my wheel for 2 hours. Oh. And then 6 months later, in the summer, we went again for a longer ride, and just the two of us, because most of the time all the other people joined, and he was 6 hours next to me without any problems. And he is a climber. I was a big guy, and on the flat where we live in the wind, I was clearly in the advantage, and he made such a big step in 6 months. And to see him now racing in the front, super nice to see.
Yeah. And his teammates doing the marking here as both Formolo and Laporte try and join him. You're talking about that northern part of Flanders, aren't you, around Antwerp, where the wind really blows, and it's sort of Scheldeprijs country, isn't it? You see that race every year.
Yeah, where Scheldeprijs is ridden, that's where I train. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. It was an edition full of echelons, and I rode towards where they come out of the tunnel. I think it was 80k. It took me 3.5 hours into a block headwind.
Wow!
But then, as soon as I made the U-turn, I was home 45k an hour average.
Wow. Well, Maxime Vochils, you were talking about, he turned pro in 2021. He had his maiden solo success a year later at the Saudi Tour. He won a stage in the overall there, and then a Grand Tour debut towards the end of that 2021 debut season at the Vuelta. He failed to finish a year later when he went back, so he's been there. But he started his first Tour de France last year, and just for the benefit of viewers who might be tuning in a little later, as I mentioned early on, he came mightily close to that stage win when he was on the Grand Colombier, just behind Michał Kwiatkowski, who amazingly held everybody off when it looked like that they were all going to catch them at some point. So Maxime Vochils can climb, he can ride, and he sniffed this move out well. He's holding that half a minute as their motor in here.
They are, yeah. Sorry, I was just noticing there that Formolo, just a seated acceleration, trying to sneak away a little bit of seated acceleration so it's not the obvious out the saddle. But I honestly think here there's only a few people that can attack, and then there's a few people when they're probably waiting to attack. The rest of them are just absolutely on the limit, and you can see everyone's just taking a breath. And look, they're what? 4 minutes behind now, so it's almost 3 kilometres.
Yeah, I mean, half of this group is already dropped without even realizing.
Yeah.
I mean, there are just a few riders really riding for top 10, and all the others are just trying to get to the finish line, I think.
That's the story of my career. Just come on, you can do it. Get there.
Well, we're inside 7 or 8 kilometres until we get to our next sector, Sector 13, sector that's been back in the race after having been battled on for the first few editions. But this race is a very different race now than when we last saw Monte Chiaro in the race. You're looking at Van Gils, who we've just been talking about. He's at 3:26. He's 36 seconds in front of the chasing group. Or at least he was on that timing equipment. I think we might have to recalculate there, because there's been a move, and now it's Matej Mohoric. And if you're watching on the television, I'm just being informed that you're going to go off for your last break of the race. If you want to watch without the ads, get on digital. Ben Healy.
Yeah, Ben Healy on the attack once again. It's not a surprise to see Healy go on the attack, but just over the top of a little bit of a plateau, then it starts to drag up once again, but you could just see Van Gils just in the distance for these guys. If you've got enough power in the legs, you can drop the other guys, you can get across to him. That's the kind of guy that you want to be with, you know, two very capable guys. Mohoric in the background, then you've got Van Aert following his teammate, so he won't pull through. Everyone is just absolutely on the limit pretty much. You can see from that group behind, everyone's just rocking and rolling. It's the first time Tim Wellens from UAE has missed a move that's gone away like this, and let's not forget, he's just been sat on all the time.
From behind, sorry Adam, but Pidcock is trying to make his way up to this group now.
I just hope Maxime didn't go too early.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, like, they're trying to slow it down a little bit, but there's still quite some climbing to do.
We've got the hardest amount of climbing as well, haven't we? And I think the closer we get to the finish, that attacking is going to become more and more and more and more. The speed will increase.
This is where we're heading. Piazza del Campo in Siena, famous for its palio, its medieval games. And as well as being rather pretty, as you can see. The artwork in the centre, once the centre of the Sienese Empire. All the Renaissance art, the religious building as well, and as a few of us can probably testify, the food's not bad around here either.
Rob. Sensational. Sensational. I bet that sounded more Jamaican, didn't it?
I was just about to say your Welsh accent's pretty good there.
Cheers, mate.
A very warm welcome back. This is a favourite among riders and fans alike. A classic, lovers' classic. It's in modern times, but on ancient roads. This is the 18th Strade Bianche. And it's pretty safe to say, unless there's a disaster here for Tadej Pogačar, the winning move went quite a while ago.
4 minutes.
Benoit Cosnefroy off the front. Tim Wellens is looking to try and mark, and he'll be looking to try and join his teammate on the podium if he can. Wellen's a former podium finisher at this race, let's not forget.
Yeah, they've had 4.5 hours of racing now. I think it's going to be 5 hours 15, 5 hours 20 for today. Yeah, if they want to, if they need 6 hours to become monumental status, I don't want to know how many riders are going to reach the finish line. If you look at how the field looks now, I'm curious what the next group is behind the chasing group.
Yeah.
Are there even still riders in the race?
We did get the non-finishers called out when the race looked like a normal race with about 90 kilometres to go. We were hearing that Alaphilippe hadn't finished. Magnier, the new Soudal Quick-Step sprinter, of course, who is showing such good form in Mallorca. We saw a couple of riders, veteran riders like Brambilla, not finishing as well. Now we're seeing a rider from the Israel Premier Tech team. Chris Neylands, who, when he has his day, doesn't he? At the Tour de France we saw he can be a really good rider when it's a hard day.
I still remember him on the Poggio, was it when Nibali won?
Yeah.
I was thinking this guy's going to win Milan-San Remo, and then Nibali came flying past.
Yeah.
But that was actually the first time I heard of him, and he hasn't won so many races, but he's always up there and always a rider you can count on.
He's a proper diesel. You can just keep going like this all day.
Is coming as well.
Tom Squinch for Lidl Trek, and what I know you'll have been back home in Flanders. He was all over the Flemish press, wasn't he, after the opening weekend? They were really impressed with him.
Yeah, what he did, I mean, he attacked on the Berendries, super strong attack, and there he showed actually that Wout probably wasn't already at his highest level. What, if you think about it, which was normal because he still had an altitude camp to go to. If it were to happen again in Tour of Flanders, then it would be very, very special. But hey, all credits to him. It was a strong attack, and looking at what he's doing today, he's clearly on the form of his life.
Yeah, he's going good. For someone that's not a traditional climber as well, we know the man can climb very well, Screens. Super good. He's one of the riders that can go on those Grand Tour breakaways, get over mountains and survive still. So to be in here still, for a bigger guy, he's what? He must be 74, 75 kilos probably.
Yeah, something like that. He's not super tall, but also not very, very skinny. So he's skinny, but he's not very.
He's muscly.
Yeah.
He's racing for a team that's taken a massive step forward in terms of their signings. Of course, we saw the budget injection from their new sponsors last summer. They're going places, aren't they, Lidl Trek? And Tom Screens is trying to do just that as well. Vogel's still ahead. Not quite yet in the camera shot as he worryingly was a moment ago, but
he's gone. He's gone now, because now there's been a moment of hesitation, and if it happens again, one more moment of hesitation on a slight uphill drag, he's gone, and then that might just be our podium.
Tom Screens away and looking for that podium at Strade Bianche, and what a result that would be, considering what's happened already here. Tadej Pogačar attacking with 81 kilometres to go. And now Ineos Grenadiers, who've had a pretty average start to the season, Adam, in terms of results, are desperate to try and chase.
Yeah, we know that team focuses on the Tour de France, the Giro, the Grand Tours mainly. They've never been mega successful in the Classics. But I think even from their own standards, one win this season is... I'm sure they'll want a lot more than what they've got. But yeah, it looks to be Sheffield, I think, chasing from behind. I mean, they've got two riders in this group, you know. They've obviously got the form, they've got the condition, but in situations like this, you've got to have the form and condition, you've got to be able to do it, but it's just being able to just be on that top level. Let's not forget Pidcock, he's focusing on the likes of Tour of Flanders. As Nathan just said about Wout van Aert, not on the top level yet, he's still got a training camp. Pidcock, not on his top level yet, using these races to get that form, get that fitness. So maybe not just there yet, but they're represented. But I think I don't know, I think anyone as a team owner, you've got to look at the big picture. But even in this situation, you'd look at it and think, we should be a little bit better, probably.
It should be up there.
Yeah.
At least.
What's the view from the rest of the peloton as to how Ineos Grenadiers' results have not dried up, but they're certainly not as... They were overtaken by you guys, let's say.
Yeah, what we as Visma Lease Bike are doing now actually is what Ineos did and Team Sky did when they won the Tour 4 times in a row or 5 times in a row, even more, I think. So it's, you look at it with a lot of respect, of course, but I think maybe they were thinking, yeah, we got a hang of it, and got passed by another team.
And then another team with UAE, I think. You know, I think UAE, they've through when Pogačar burst onto the scene, each year they've just got stronger. The signings are getting stronger.
I think they have got a little bit of bad luck with the crash of Bernal at the wrong time, because looking at his level in Gran Camino was already better. So I expect him to do a proper Tour de France, like a really good Tour de France, and I think he can battle for a podium spot. Yeah.
I mean, we're going off subject a little bit here, but Bernal, surely, Vuelta a España, won the Tour, won the Giro.
Hold that thought. We'll come back to it as the spring goes on. Let's go to Yenzi. Let's concentrate on today.
We are here behind Tadej Pogačar. Is he gonna lap a few riders on the last finishing lap? He is so incredibly strong with 4 minutes to the first chasing group. I wonder how far behind everybody else is. So there might be some riders getting lapped on Strade Bianche 2024.
Repetitive attack from Ben Healy there. He's gone again, and this time it's Filippo Zana who's going to try and chase him. Jeko Lula Another team who's strengthened, you feel, this year. There's Davide Formolo. He's a rider who's moved across from UAE to Movistar. Towards the end of last season, he was starting to become a real one-day racer. Had some tremendous results in the late-season Italian classics. Walter is in here for Visma Lease Bike. There's his teammate just taking a beat on in the shape of Christophe Laporte. We're getting towards those final 25 Ks. The next sector, Monte Chiaro is coming up.
It's like this race is bonkers when you think about it. You've got Tadej Pogacar with 4.5 minutes. My God. And then behind that, you've got Van Gils. And then behind that, you've got Tom Screens. Behind that, you've got Sheffield. And then you've got this group. This is like a serious race, a big race. And there is riders absolutely everywhere. There's no other race that's been like this, where everyone's so fatigued, where everyone's in a situation in such a small group with such a long way to go, where riders are literally in ones and twos throughout the course. It's bonkers.
Yeah, you can't make this race any longer, I think. I mean, I think this is now they're really maxed out.
I think make it easier, almost.
Well, Pogacar himself was actually a little critical of the changes yesterday in the team presentation. He was saying, well, you know, it was quite good as it was. But, I mean, to be honest, with what it's provided with him an opportunity to do something like this that he's going to be remembered for, well, for the rest of his cycling career at the very least.
For sure. I think with Pogacar as well, this is I'm going to try and pick a flaw with Pogacar here, which is going to be very, very difficult. This is a man that's got 4 minutes 29. If you look at his position on the bike, he's not the most aero guy. But he's really not. Like, you look at his position when he's in the drops, he's quite upright, you know, and you think, I'm sure he has done testing and ultimately this position works for him. But if you really look at him, if he, you know, was like Matej Mohoric, you know, that he's always in a great position, he's always tucked down low, he's always great. You think we're talking about marginal gains and what makes the difference. Think if he went in a wind tunnel and they adjusted his position a little bit and they just give him 2 extra watts, 3 extra watts. It's frightening. I know that, you know, on a road bike when you're spending 4.5 to 7 hours on a bike, you need to be comfortable, you need to get the power out. But ultimately, at the optimum, you need to be able to get both out of that situation where you can be as air as possible, fast as possible, with still going to get the power out, which is, I feel like there is still an improvement for him to be made in that. And that's not to say his position's awful, but I think it could be better, maybe.
That's frightening.
Well, that's a problem. It is frightening.
I can't imagine at UAE they didn't look at it already. For sure they did some research. On the other hand, looking at marginal gains, if the biggest goal of today this year is in the beginning of the season is the Giro.
Yeah.
You're building up towards the Giro, I presume. And you know you have these legs because you know he looks at his numbers and he says like, okay, I'm equally as good as last year. You can these riders they know how good they are. If you know you have these legs, why you attack with 80k to go? If you know you can win it with 50k to go or 40k to go. I mean, it's all fatigue you're going to take into the rest of the year, and after the Giro is going straight to the Tour. So it's not that he has like a really, really easy schedule this year.
Yeah.
Just to keep our eyes on this group, gents. 4 minutes 33 now, and they just keep attacking each other here. It's growing and growing. Nathan, you suggested the podium might be set. Unless something dramatic happens, it's looking increasingly like the case now.
Yeah. The gaps are growing. I mean, there's 1 minute in between the Maxime Van Gils and the chasing group. And on the previous picture, we saw Tom Screens was really, really close to bridging across. And if I were in the team car of Lotto, I would say wait, because you have a bigger chance finishing on the podium if you're with 2 than alone. You might get beaten for second, but still you get on the podium.
Yeah.
While all that attacking was going on behind, the gaps growing and that tactical play that you talked about was playing out, Tadej Pogacar was riding sector 13. He's off it now. He has just 2 sectors to go and 22.2 kilometres remain. Maxime Van Gils just ahead of Tom Screens. The Fleming and the Latvian. It's a Slovenian up at the front. Here is Screens, racing for Lidl Trek. So good in the opening weekend last week.
He's asking for the car, I think.
Certainly was animated.
At this point, I was always thinking, please let the car come so I can get a bottle.
Yeah, always. I remember I did Tour of California one year, and there was 60k time trial up to the 60k climb, basically, just steady away. And I was in a break with like 15 guys. I must have taken 120 bottles.
Which year was it?
16. It was the way Screens won the stage, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and on that note, here he is at the front. We heard he was all over the press in Belgium this week. We caught up with him at the start as well today.
Tom's, the form is there. You had a fantastic opening weekend. You really showed your form. Today, a different course, a longer course, over 200 kilometers and 4 new gravel sectors. Talk me through today for you.
I mean, I wouldn't say fantastic weekend. A result would have been, a top 10 result would have made it maybe a fantastic weekend. But yeah, I mean, of course, opening weekend was good, but got to improve here. Like you say, the race is a bit longer this year. A bit more sectors, a bit more mud, a bit more dirt. But luckily the sun is out. I think it'll make for a really exciting race, and I'm sure the fans will love it.
How do you think that can change the race now? Because do you think it's more of a climber's race with the added length, the added elevation?
Yeah, for sure. It suits maybe a little bit more the climbers now, but at the same time, you don't see sprinters coming to this race anyway.
Thank you. Best of luck. Thank you.
Well, a week after making the Berendries look easy, here he is with other farmland left and right of him. He's been going up and down all day, 4,000 metres of climbing in total, and he's about to reach Maxime Vauchil's. That is quite the ride from Tom Squinch there to get across.
He's going good, there's no doubt about it. He's in great form at the minute, probably the best form we've seen him ever. Really, generally, especially at this time of year, that's for sure. But yeah, he's just absolutely motoring, getting across. He'll be able to have a little breather, but this is perfect for these guys. You know, they've got a minute on the chasing group behind. There's 2 of them now, so they can work together a little bit. But all those attacks we've seen from that group, this is ultimately what each and every one of those riders wanted from that group, is to be able to break away from it. We've seen Healy attack 1 million times. This is what he wanted, to be one of these 2 riders that come together, that will work together, rather than what we've seen from this group, which is just attack, ease off, attack, ease off, attack, ease off.
You better attack once, good, than 10 times or 20 times, like half an attack.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we're approaching the final 20 kilometres. Still absolutely struggling to comprehend the enormity of what we've seen happen. And what we're seeing just brought home now. The race as a competition was one with 81 kilometres to go, really, by this man who got away, went away, opened up a very big gap. Adam's getting nervous on his behalf, and understandably, because Tadej Pogačar has been off the front for 62 kilometres already. He has 19.5 kilometres to go. And, well, we saw it at the start of the season, didn't we, with his big rivals. Tadej Pogačar was at home, training, enjoying life as he does, telling us about it on Instagram as he does as well. And in the meantime, Evenepoel started and won. Jonas Vingegaard is up and running with victories that we saw in Gran Camino as well. We're waiting for Roglic to take the stage. That comes tomorrow, by the way, at Paris-Nice. But it's Pogačar time for the first time this season. However it was going to go, we knew it was going to be a very eventful ride. And with Pogačar coming on to the penultimate sector now, at the end of the brand new circuit in this race, he's back to Colle Pinzuto. I think we know how it's going to go, and it's going to be something that is going to sit there in the record books, in the history books, in the storied of sports, in a relatively new race that already looks special and like a real classic. It's going to have a heroic performance to go with its nickname, the Heroica.
It's unbelievable, Rob. I have not seen this in cycling to this extent. You know, we chatted about races, it's happened before, but those attacks have never come to anything. This man's just on another planet right now, you know. It must be so hard for his competitors to look at this and not be worried, or being on the start line with him and just be like, how am I going to deal with this guy? You know, there's only a select few in the world that could, like, deal with that. So for him and his teammates, it must just be an absolute pleasure to have someone in your team like this you can have such confidence in, you know, it's bonkers.
They had confidence in him. They lined up a big special team around Tadej Pogačar today. We know he's such a superstar. Talking about exactly how things are going to go for him. Let's get a view of a man who's seen quite a few things in this sport. And Jens Vogt, welcome. Absolute pleasure to be talking to you again. And for you, this must be, with this noise, these scenes, these men out there, something that I'm not sure you'll ever seen before.
Jensi, you've been around a long time, after you just said, but with his attack at 80 kilometres to go, did you have any doubts? Did you think it was too early?
Thank you very much, Jens. He's certainly impressed us much more in competition than hiding away in training. Now, Tom Pidcock's doing the same. Let's get back to the racing, because that fight for the podium that we were thinking was done and dusted, it's still a lot of work for Pidcock to do here, isn't it, Nathan? Because he's got a minute and a half to bridge if he's to get to the second and third place riders.
Yeah, I think it's it's almost too late for him, but I think he's doing what he needs to do. He knows if he still wants to make something of his race, he needs to get rid of all the other riders. And you also saw he went in full gas, like he didn't hold back on his attack. So yeah, I'm curious if he could still be able to bridge across to the front group.
Well, he's on his way to try and do that.
I was going to say, we've not really seen him attack too much, Tom. We spoke about how if you attack, you need to make sure it counts. You need to attack once and make sure it counts. This has probably been one of Tom's only attacks yet, so it's definitely counted. He's got the gap, but like you said, he's got a minute and a half to make up in less than 20 kilometres.
This is Romain Bardet off the back. He'd already attacked a couple of times in this. It looks as though he might have a mechanical issue as well. Just checking a puncture maybe there. Let's have a look. Oy, 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 oy.
Oh,
well
barely.
played.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's chasing back on as well, trying to get back onto the back of that group. Just managed to get back onto the back of the group.
And these are just pushing. These are the best riders in the world, and if you see them almost missing the corner, means they're completely at their limits. They're mentally tired, they're physically tired. They want to get to the finish line as quickly as possible.
The man who's going to get there quickest is on your screen now. He flies past the legions of fans once more. He has one sector remaining after this. For the second time today, he'll head to Litolfe. But any dropped riders, there's a bit of a party going on.
He might lap him.
Well, there's that as well, Adam. I mean,
how big is the lap?
Yeah. We were told before today by our colleague Ilenia, who's on the ground in Italy, that there is, every year at the top of Litolfe, somebody handing out arrosticini, the little lamb kebabs you see in Abruzzo.
Oh, nice,
I mean, Pogačar might have time to stop for a couple and wait for his order to be freshly cooked.
I mean, yeah. I don't know how big the lap is, but I can imagine you might see some riders like trying to find their way back to the start.
But earlier I said I'm wondering who's still in the race behind this group. But I remember in Italy they take you out of the race straight away.
Oh, really?
When you're more than a minute behind the peloton, which this is the peloton for me now. They take you out of the race. I'm really curious how many guys we're going to see on the result.
16 kilometres remain. of a strade bianche that will go down in the book of books. Stories of stories in world cycling. Not because it's had us hanging on, wondering who's going to win, but because the likely winner, with just 15.5 Ks to go, announced that he would attack early. We thought he was joking at the time. We thought he can't. He did. He has done. He's out there and he's on his way to win. Tadej Pogačar, on day one this season, already topping his 50-kilometre from the finish line demonstration that he put on for us 2 years ago. You're looking at Tom Pidcock on the screen now. He's the 4th rider on the road. He's at 4 minutes and 19 seconds from the aforementioned Tadej Pogačar. Pogačar has 3 minutes and 6 seconds on 2 chasers who are likely to be the other podium finishers at the minute. They are Belgian rider Maxime Vogels and Latvian star Tom Skujiņš. This is what's left of what we were calling the peloton, and they're attacking each other. They're going to be finishing in 1s and 2s. This is a modern classic. It's a race for warriors.
Oh, it's just a bonkers race. I mean, we joked earlier saying it might be too hard, but the way this is, you know, we've seen maximum amount of people within this race today. We've seen what maximum amount of riders, 40 riders, maybe altogether.
Yeah, when the first pictures came was, I think they just got off the sector from before Santa Maria.
Yeah,
and yeah,
40 riders left.
40 riders, which were 100 last year, I think. So it also shows the pace UAE put on in the start, because there was no breakaway. It means it was a super fast pace straight from the start.
Yeah, San Martino in Grani, I think when we joined the pictures there and we went to Monte Santa Maria, 81 kilometres to go when Pogačar powered ahead. Set up by Tim Wellers and Isaac Del Toro. And here we go with Pogačar well out of the picture. We haven't seen him for a while now because, honestly, that's not where the racing is it?
No, I mean, it's really not, no. I mean, what can you say about him? What can you talk about for him? He's just so far out in front. There's been so much action from behind that we have to follow it, because ultimately the race has been for second. Now it's almost for the podium, for 4th place, which it's still on. Pidcock is doing a great job, but he's still over a minute behind the 2 riders out in front of him, Van Gils and Tom Skujiņš. So, yeah, it's just been an absolutely bonkers race with no rhythm to it whatsoever.
A unique spectacle.
His sponsors won't be very happy, I think, from today. They didn't. He's been on the front of the race for 2 hours and 2 hours and a half, let's say, and he's been on TV for 15 minutes.
Yeah. This is the group at 450 with Kuznov, Guade, Healy. We saw Formolo, Mohoric. Now this is Laporte, the European champion, with the French champion and his compatriot, Madouas. Young Busato, one of the performances of the day. First year as a professional racing for Intermarché. And Nélons, alongside Tim Wellens, who, OK, he's not going to be on the podium with his teammate today, but both he, Del Toro, and the others that we didn't have the fortune of seeing before have done their bit in protecting Pogačar and setting him up.
Yeah, of course. Actually, I must say I'm very happy, and I think it's very promising to see Christophe still at the front of the race at this point of the race, because it's been a super hard race, 4,000 meters of climbing, and Christophe is not a great climber, or at least he wasn't a great climber, and I think it's very promising for the rest of the spring campaign to see him at the front here.
Is he doing the tour?
Christophe?
Yeah.
I presume so, yes. Yeah. He's a Frenchie, so yeah, try talking him out of the tour.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Just take a look at the distances as well as the gaps. Pogačar is almost 2 kilometres ahead of the 2 chasers. He is almost 3 kilometres ahead of Tom Pidcock, and 3.5 kilometres on the road in front of the chasing group.
5 minutes.
I'm wondering what his motivation was this morning to attack at 80k to go. Was it because he saw Remco winning and Jonas winning, that he was like, I want to show that I'm also in good shape. I want to show what I can do.
Yeah. Bang the fist on the table and announce his arrival for 2024. He's certainly done that, even if that wasn't the aim.
No. If he would have won, winning is winning.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, here he is. He's approaching the final sector. Pogačar still looking good, still moving well, still extending his lead. It ticks on to 5 minutes. 5 long minutes over the main chasing group as Tadej Pogačar takes on Le Tolfe for the second and final time of this adjusted Strade Bianche route. It was already a feat that wasn't for the faint-hearted. It's longer, it's more difficult, and Pogačar is going to win with the biggest ever winning margin, we think.
Yeah. I'd say without a shadow of a doubt the biggest ever winning margin. I mean, what? He's 5 minutes back to, what is it, 7th place? It's incredible. It's like a mountaintop finish in a tour stage almost.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
You know, if you the more you think about it, the crazier it gets.
The climbing doesn't end here. He's still got Via Santa Caterina. He's still got the roads in towards the famous old city of Siena itself, but he's going to lap up the applause here. They've come to see their hero. They're here for the great entertainer, and entertain them he has done. For almost half of this ride, it's been a solo ride. Pogačar's there, and every little bit of noise here is for him. It's the first time we've seen him this season. And if this is anything to go by, 2024 might be just about the most special we've seen him.
Geraint Thomas is in this race and he's going to the Giro this year. He must be looking at this and be like, I'm laughing about it. It's not just Geraint, but you know, that riders that got certain ambitions through the year and you're in the same race, you must be like, oh man.
Well, it was a Slovenian who beat him last year in Primož Roglic. The Slovenian fans are there to welcome their national champion to the top of their Tolfe. It's over here that the road becomes smoother. The gravel is gone. 71 kilometres of it tamed by this man. He's now just got 12 Ks to go. The chapel's there. No need to say a prayer or two, because they've all been answered already.
Well, apart from everyone behind there, probably saying a lot of prayers, Rob.
It's been that sort of day for everybody else, hasn't it? Here, the next two on the road, they're not even on to Le Tolfe yet. They're 3 minutes 7 seconds there. And, well, Squeens and Vergils, what have they got to do here? Of course, mentally as well. Physically, they're doing whatever they can with themselves, but they've still got a minute and a half almost on the chasers. It's not quite done, but more or less, I guess they've just got to keep going, keep working, and decide that this is it as, oh dear, that wasn't what he needed.
No.
I think, Maxim and Squeens, they have time to play. I mean, maybe one of the other attacks here on Le Tolfe, trying to see what happens. And if not, they will sprint it out on Santa Caterina in Siena.
I can imagine both of them at this point in the race, they're that tired though that they might just think, you know what, let's just fight it out at the finish, rather than try and attack, rather than play around a little bit. Because at this point, it is literally, I think you've got one effort pretty much left in your legs. And Squeens, I think he might be the rider to try, but at this point in the race, both of them are there because they are so strong. So they might just be like, let's just keep going and fight it out, mano a mano, at the finish and see how we get on.
If I were one of them, feeling somebody else was stronger, I'd say, please don't attack.
Yeah, for sure.
You can become second.
Yeah. 100%.
Final gravel sector then for Squeens and Vergils. The last little bit of sterrato, as it's called in these parts. This is gravel before gravel was cool. And the locals know that. Tuscany was already well known worldwide. There's the history, the art, and of course in tourist circles, which, let's face it, what bike racing on the telly is all about, it was already well known. They've got a fantastic cycling culture, and as well as the people from all over the world. You see the flags. There are so many locals here who know these roads, know this event, and have really bought into it. It's almost 20 years old. We've said several times it feels like it comes from another time, this, the Eroica. But it has become a real appointment and the day to watch each spring, hasn't it?
I tell you what, it's a good job this isn't like the last few years where they've got a small group coming up here and attacking each other with these crowds. There's no space to attack.
A date to remember each spring, but this spring is going to be remembered for years and years. Because this is the day that Tadej Pogačar said he was going to attack on Monte Sante Maria, did attack on Monte Sante Maria, and after already having been 70+ kilometres at the front of the race, now has just 10 to go to finish off the job. You're looking at Tom Pidcock, last year's winner. He's getting closer to those in front of him, but not close enough as it stands. There are other riders behind him who are also vying for that 4th place now, and that's all they're doing, Nathan. They're just racing for every place here.
Yeah, of course, and they have every right to. But I mean, Tom has only 20 seconds, 18 seconds to his chasing group. So yeah, it's gonna be hard for him to hang on. I think if they can work together after this sector. But looking at it, I mean, today and it's all small groups now, but it won't be long before they need to put barriers down.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people. If you try to follow an attack and you want to pass somebody, it's not possible. I think it won't be long before there are barriers.
Siena at its outskirts, now being conquered for the 2nd time by Pogačar. Well, Michał Kwiatkowski has won this twice.
No,
Pogačar has all the time in the world, Adam, to negotiate that.
Yeah.
And Fabian Cancellara is the only man to have won 3 times. And of course, that will be a record as the years go by that this man will be looking at, I'm sure.
Is it when you win it 3 times, you get the sector named after you?
You do, yes.
Probably that's what he wants, probably. The Tadej Pogačar sector.
Well, how old's Pogačar now? 25? 24, 25. He can probably get about 3 sectors named after him at this rate. Yeah.
We'll have to keep adding new sectors, says producer Doug, listening in.
This will be called the Strade Pogačar soon.
25 years of age, he finished last year winning in Lombardy, of course, and he's going to start 2024 just as he finished last year.
For sure, it's no coincidence. He got the frosted tips in his hair. White hair for the white roads.
Yeah.
He was thinking of the podium photos before he turned up to do the racing itself. These two still racing each other. Reminded of the race situation. Pogačar's in front, being chased, but only in very loose terms, by Maxi Vochils and Tom Screench of Belgium and Latvia, and Lotto and Lidl respectively. This is the 4th rider on the road. Winner last year, Tom Pidcock. By the way, the last time he won a road race, this win last year. It's done a year without winning on the road. Of course, he's been winning on a mountain bike and a crossfield. Let's not forget about that. And then behind, we've got a group including Kuznefroy, Healy, Lenny Martinez, Davide Formolo, Filippo Zana and Matej Mohoric, with Madouas Sposato, Nederlands van Eetveld, Laporte, Walter and Wellens not too far behind them as well.
Mohoric just distance from this group as well. This is group 4, 4 minutes 38. There's a small downhill coming up, so down Mohoric will be able to just probably freewheel onto the back of it with his capabilities. But he's done a spectacular ride as well.
Yeah,
I know
of course.
He can climb well, but he's not a climber, you know.
I see you climbing with the likes of Martinez, one of the best young climbers in the world, who has been demonstrating it this week.
And before, in the previous picture, you really saw, before we were talking about Pogačar and his position on the bike, if you look at it, Mohoric's position on the bike, he gets so small as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, to try and ride as efficient as possible through the wind.
He's really good at it, one of the best at it.
Yeah.
Even with his pedaling, his gears, when he puts it in a bigger gear, when he uses a smaller gear, he's just the most efficient rider probably in the peloton of when to use energy.
Might just be one of the most annoying riders as well.
Yeah, possibly, possibly.
Because you're never out of the wind.
Yeah.
Last year I was with him in the breakaway in Kuurne, and every time I was behind him, and I felt like I was doing double turns.
His aero and your shoulders, not the best combination. Here's Pogačar. The final few kilometres always difficult, aren't they? These narrow roads, we twist and turn up and down, and sort of you're in Siena without actually being in the old town, and then you know you're descending all the way because you've got to climb into the town as well. It's a cruel finish on anyone who's been out there doing everything so far. Great part of the race, though, and if you do get people coming off the last sectors together, there's always something still to separate them.
There's a couple of roads. The road that he's just been on now, there's a drag up to a roundabout, and it's still a steep climb. It's only about 400 or 500 metres long. But if they're all together, it's a point where you can launch an attack. Then you've got this. This is the road I'm talking about that these guys have got on now. It just gets steeper and steeper, and where Pogačar is, there's a drag up all the way around to the back of Siena before you drop down, and that's another place. It's relentless. Even with 6K to go, you've still got a lot of pain in your legs before you drop down to that final finish climb.
I must say it's an amazing ride by Skuins as well.
Yeah. Chapeau.
Crashing on Santa Maria, having a bike change later, and still fighting to finish on the podium. I mean, hats off.
Yeah, chapeau.
On the outskirts of Siena here, and the bits of water on the road still. Absolutely lashed it down with rain early on, as the gap between Pidcock and this group has really reduced now.
Has really reduced. I'll be surprised if anyone has got the legs to attack across to Pidcock. He's just full commitment all the way to this finish line, but there is still the road, as we just spoke about, to try and jump across to it. But everyone in this race must be just absolutely on their limit right now. Not much left in the tank, just no explosion, no explosive attacks. It'll just be more of a grind than anything, you know. But let's not forget, these guys, they've suffered this long. They're going to want to get the highest position possible still.
Well, there's Maxime Vochils. I think he's going to have a reason to smile, even where he is now, because he knows he's off onto the podium of one of the greatest races in the world.
Yeah, I must be very proud of this performance. I mean, to do this at such a young age, yeah, it's very, very impressive. Very nice ride.
There's Siena, a spectacular Tuscan gem of a city. Old cathedral in the background. This is the more modern town, but everything's unique about this place. Even if you go to the football ground, all the little stands and stadiums are different. There's little small back streets where you've got beautiful old restaurants that have stood the test of time. And even the ruined buildings look pretty here. As this man knows what he's about to do, but he must be hurting by now.
You'd hope so.
That's a 15-second grimace.
Yeah. It's at this point, though, it's almost like it's a different pain, isn't it? It's not like a full-out pain. It's just like an ache almost. Where you're just like, oh, that was hard. He's going to have time to celebrate, isn't he?
The hard work's been done. He's just going to get through these final 5 kilometres. Yes, he'll be hurting here. There's no immediate sign that the time gap's being destroyed or anything like that, but we'll keep an eye on it. It would take quite the turn up for the history books, talking of history, for things to change here. He's got 5Ks. He has everybody behind him.
He's going into a fast descent now towards the city center. And then the last 1.6Ks, first a slight drag uphill. And then before it gets narrow and very steep, as you see, Pidcock is suffering quite badly. And
that's Cosnefroy.
Cosnefroy attacking in the background.
And he's brought several riders with him. Again, it's Formolo. Lenny Martinez, it's been quite the debut for him as well, eh?
Yeah. Mahorit's just doing his own thing, just sticking to his watts. But like I said before, you know, no one's got that big explosion of an attack. Everyone is just on their absolute limit.
Maxime Vochils stealing a little bit of a march there on Tom Skuins, but they're back together. 2 riders on this uphill before the descent that will, for them, come in around just a few hundred metres from the top here. And then they'll be taking on that last 1.5 kilometres to the finish line. They're racing the ultimate one-day race. This has got the elevation of a climber's monument, and there's a several-time monument winner. You have to fight for position like you'd usually see in the Ronde van Vlaanderen. He won that last year. And, of course, the ancient roads that you're transported to a bygone age racing on. and racing to that beautiful old city centre, just like Roubaix. Well, that's something that's still on the list for this man for the future. For now, though, Tadej Pogačar is going to be the ultimate winner with, I think, the ultimate performance in the ultimate one-day race.
I mean, as far as performances go, this has been probably one of his best so far, I'd say. Flanders still tops it for me. You know, you expect not an 80k attack, but you'd expect him to win this race. It's like suits him down to the ground. I think with Flanders, he was a little bit more unknown, but don't get me wrong, this is absolutely remarkable.
Well, Nata Verhooydonk is about to leave us now. What a tremendous debut that's been, by the way, talking about fantastic performances. And don't worry, if you're watching on Discovery Plus or on Eurosport in UK Ireland, you better see Nata on the breakaway, following this with Orla and Dan. Adam's going to stick with me as we go to the centre of Siena, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I'll stress once more before we get to the business end in a minute, this place is worth visiting, Adam, isn't it?
I've spent loads of times there waiting for the riders to get back in. Oh dear. No, it is gorgeous. I mean, the recon rides that you do before, I mean, you can have a little coffee in the square. Beautiful, beautiful.
3 minutes, 16 seconds. You said before he might have time for an espresso. Again, we're talking about this. We're trying to do it justice, of course. But there's something in my head here. I just cannot believe this has happened. This has been absolutely incredible.
I mean, it happened so long ago that you forget he attacked with 80k to go, but...
he knows he's done it.
He's happy with it. That's a good training ride for him, that's for sure. But, I mean, it is just incredible. 80k's to go, an attack on his own. He told everyone when he was going to attack, and no one could do anything about it. It wasn't like anyone tried. Sepkus tried to follow him. These guys tried to follow him. And every single kilometre on this road, along the way to Siena, he just took out minutes and minutes, seconds and seconds. The gap has finally come down now to the chasers behind, only slightly, but it has come down. And when I say come down, it's come down 25 seconds from this group on the road here to Tadej Pogačar. The rest has pretty much stayed the same all the way through it. Incredible.
Another one to add to this great story. 25-year-old Tadej Pogačar. Has there ever been a bike rider like him? I'm not just talking about numbers here. I'm talking about the way you win.
Yeah.
How you approach things. Your demeanour, the way you carry yourself. He's certainly unique. 1.5 kilometres to go then. He's approaching Via Santa Catarina. He's already been here once before. Off the front last time with 50k's to go. 2 years ago, putting on what we thought then was an exhibition for the ages. He's bettered it. And here we are, into Siena, one of the world's great monuments to the medieval age, as we see the finest exponent of bike racing in the modern era. Just over a kilometre to go. And Adam, final thought from you on what has been a tremendous performance before he finishes it off.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's remarkable what the man can do. I think you nailed it a minute ago, Rob, that we might never have seen a rider like this, and the type of rider that he is, you know, an explosive rider, a fast finisher, a climber, someone that can time trial amazing, someone that can drop into the Tour of Flanders and win it on his debut. There are not many riders, probably not a single rider in history, that have got the capabilities that this man has got, you know. It is bonkers. You go back to Eddie Merckx, you go back to these guys. I don't even think they were similar to Pogačar. No. He can do everything at the highest level. Not well, the highest level. Like an incredible bike rider. Just unbelievable.
Tadej Pogačar has just ridden under the Fonte Branda gate. He has 700 metres to go. His fan club have made it to what normally is the final launch pad that can send a career into the stratosphere. Well, he's already there. He was there before today, let's be honest. But here he goes. The roar will get bigger, and he's enjoying every single pedal stroke, however painful it is in the legs now. The late afternoon sunshine after a day when we've had wind, rain, and everything. all 4 seasons in one day, but one constant, and that's the man at the front of this race. There's a big screen up around the corner. They're all holding on to their phones. They will have seen the moment that Tadej Pogačar attacked with 81 kilometers remaining. These now are the closing moments of what has been an opera. All smiles at the top of the final hellish hill for Tadej Pogačar. Even he is realizing what he's about to do. 5 hours and almost 20 minutes. And for just under half of it, it's been him versus the world. It's been him on another level. 300 meters to go. Tadej Pogačar is about to go into one of the sport's most stunning arenas. Siena's Piazza del Campo was made for medieval games. But today, it's a modern classic. And it's won by the young master of modern cycling. Every moment recorded for the memory, because Tadej Pogačar might never do anything like this again. That was unique. This is Pogačar, and there is nobody at all like him. Even the most fervent of believers in his ability will be speechless at that. It's Tadej Pogačar with something we have not really seen in this modern era of cycling. Wherever you are now, whatever you're doing, remember it. This is something you'll remember for the rest of your days watching this sport. Adam Blythe's off to the breakaway. You'll be hearing from him in just a moment's time to try and make sense of what's happened. Now the fight for the podium. Vogels starting to make his move. He looks behind. He sees the wheels open up. And Maxime Vogels, unless there's a comeback here from Squinch, who's really fighting the bike and fighting the gradient, could be on his way, and Squinch is fighting back. The noise in this place is incredible. And it's now going to get louder for Squinch himself. Vogels has just put one too many digs in today. But he's still fighting, still gritting his teeth, and there's hardly anything to separate them. Squinch now tries to power away, approaching the final 300 meters. Vogels looks behind. And it's Squinch who's opening up the space now. And the man from Lidl Trek is on his way to being the first ever Latvian onto the podium of this race. He makes his own history. And it's going to be his best performance in a one-day race at this level as well. There we go. At the end of an incredible day. One that's gone close to leaving us speechless. A day where we'll only comprehend the magnitude of everything that's happened afterwards. It's a second place for Tom Squinch, who's the best of the rest. And that on a day like today is quite something. Maxime Vogels finishes in third place. Lotto Destiny have a very big result to take home. And last year's winner, Tom Pidcock, is not going down without a fight. They recognise his gladiatorial performance as well. Well, Pidcock's result is a solid one. It's going to be a 4th place for the British rider, who was the first man from his nation to win the race last year. No victory this time out. He wasn't really in the shake-up, but in all honesty, nobody else was. Pidcock last year pulled off a very special result. Today, however, I'll repeat it. It's the master of modern cycling. Matej Mohoric looking to finish in 5th place. And here he comes. Another warrior-like performance from the gravel world champion. 5th place then going to Matej Mohoric. Who's next? There'll be 1s and 2s. This is Benoit Cosnefroy. That's Davide Formolo, 6th and 7th respectively for Decathlon and Movistar. And on debut at 8th place for young Lenny Martinez. It's 9th for Filippo Zana. Making it 2 Italians in the top 9. Well, that's a monument to this town. And soon, somewhere, maybe in several places at several races, they'll be building a monument to this man. No wonder he was smiling, because that was special. What a nice moment. Urška Sigard waiting and ready to celebrate yet another triumph with Tadej Pogačar. Classified results on a day for the ages. Tadej Pogačar wins with a margin of 2 minutes and 44 seconds from Tom Skrinch. Maxime Vauxhils completes the podium in 3rd at 2:47, with Pidcock and Mohoric in the top 5. Cosnefroy, Formolo, Martinez, Zana and Laporte in a top 10. Well, this was the moment. How about it? It was still raining. Pogačar went. Kuss could not follow, neither could the rest. And with 81 Ks to go, they would not see him again. You wonder whether he could keep it going. But in all truth, it was just a complete build. Every pedal stroke, every kilometre saw more seconds, more minutes added to the gap. He already knew what he'd done. What about our experts, though? Pogačar into the arena. And here's the man who followed him on the motorbike. Time to go and check in with Jens Vogt.
One man who had the perfect view all race was the man next to me, Jens Vogt, who was on the back of the motorbike. Jens, earlier on to our colleague and friend Philippe Gilbert, Tadej Pogačar announced he would make his attack where he did. he made the attack, and he stayed away. Are you surprised by that? Are you surprised that he also said it earlier on and stuck to that?
Well, when I heard he's really going to go at the point he announced, I'm like, wow, that is really early. But then quickly realized how quick he gained time to his competitors and that nobody could follow. So I guess probably 15 riders knew I need to be on his wheel right now, but there was nothing he could do.
Was it they just simply didn't have the legs to make that reaction when he made the move, or was it a little bit of hesitation? What did you see from the bike?
I believe at first it was a bit of hesitation. He went, no, nobody goes at 80 kilometers to go. And when he realized, oh, he's serious, nobody had the legs to jump across these 5 or 10 seconds. By the time he realized, oh, he's actually serious, he's all in, then they didn't have the legs anymore.
Did he say anything when you were alongside him? Were you able to really get a close-up of how he looked? Did he ever look like he was starting to fatigue?
Not at all. And really, when I passed him to get like a good shot of him and do a little recording, I said, hey, go, Tadej, go, go, go. So he looked up, looked over to me on the bike, recognized me, and smiled at me. And I knew, okay, he's going to win. If he's still with 60 Ks to go, going full gas in the attack, has time to look up, look at me, and give me a smile, I'm like, yep, he's going to be the winner of the day.
So from that moment on, Jens Vogt, you knew he was going to be the winner. Tadej Pogačar wins his second Strade Bianche here into Piazza del Campo.
A second win at Strade Bianche then, as Jens Vogt was talking to Hannah Walker there in Piazza del Campo. Well, there's the man who did it. For celebrations, he's now had a chance to gather his thoughts. And here they are. Tadej Pogačar with his first reaction after his amazing win.
80 kilometers solo. Why?
No, I don't know why. The race was really fast from the start, and yeah, it was already quite selective super early. I don't think anyone expected that, and yeah, we come to the Santa Maria, was like hailstorm, was really tough condition, and yeah, there was no more resources left in the group, so it was only 25 riders, something like this, and yeah, Isaac and team did a super good job to make a super hard race, and then it was a moment where yeah, you couldn't see anything. It was so muddy, and I decided to go on the attack there, and yeah, I knew that it's gonna be long, but yeah, I knew when I had a gap, I just go to the end.
What went through your mind during those kilometers?
I don't know. I was at first I was really good, feeling good the first part of the race. Then the team did super great job, but I could see that it's gonna be a really tough race from early to the finish, and yeah, when it was really raining a lot, yeah, I felt good, and yeah, in my mind was try to push and go solo.
It's the fourth year in a row that you win your first race. Are you always sure to be on good form?
Yeah, it's really, yeah, the first race in the season. It's really tough for mentally. You never know if the shape is good or not. But I think, yeah, this year was yeah, really good preparation through the winter. I started a bit later the season, so more hard work to the first race, and it was really worth it.
You already had 5 monuments. Considering the conditions today, is it the 6th monument?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's really beautiful race, but yeah, monuments are, I don't know what are the rules of the cycling. Monuments are the oldest races in the world, and yeah, unfortunately Strade Bianche is not that old, but it has its own charm, and yeah, it's one of the most popular races for sure. You can count as one of the most difficult and most beautiful races in the world.
Complimenti. Thank you. Grazie.
Oh, brilliant measured answer there from Tadej Pogačar. A fast race, yes, it certainly was. And he finished it off quicker than anybody else. Well, second place went for Maxime Vochils. Oh, second place, I should say, went to Tom Squinch, pardon me. Maxime Vochils in third. Tremendous day for both Squinch and Vochils as well, who took fantastic steps forward. Lidl Trek with their own things to celebrate. Lotto Destiny as well. Vochils in third. Here's his teammate Van Eertveld.
So, Lennart, again, a very strong race from Lotto Destiny, and with a podium for Maxime. I think you must be happy for him.
Yeah, I'm really happy. When Tadej attacked, I didn't have the best legs, and I saw that Maxime had a really good day, so then I just decided to go full for him, and my radio stopped working at that moment, so I didn't really know what was going on or what the plan was. When he attacked with 40k to go, I didn't expect it, honestly. But yeah, I'm really happy that we're on the podium, and we just confirm again that Lotto Destiny is having a really good season, and that it's not only Arnaud in the team, but that we are just a good team in general.
Were you surprised by the attack of Tadej Pogačar?
No, I think everyone could have seen it coming. You just know that he's so strong, and he wants to race from far, so he did.
And then, how did you decide to plan things for Maxime? Because he attacked from very far away also.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really know what was going on, but once Tadej attacked, I just decided I go for him. We're both in a super good form, and just have to decide sometimes who you're going to work for. And today he was, I think, a bit better, so I just gave my all for him, and to end up on the podium in Strade Bianche with the team is just amazing.
Thank you, Lennart. Thank you.
Well, time to recover. That was harder than anybody who finished. Never mind those who were able to take the victory. Just missing out on the podium this time, Tom Pidcock, celebrating with family. And of course, Xenia, his soigneur. And a fourth place today. Coming in after his victory last year.
Tom.
Danny Martinez getting something checked out. Let's hope it's all right. In the meantime, let's go and hear from Matej Mohoric.
So, Matthew, Pogačar was in another level, no? It was impossible to follow, impossible to chase, and it's not possible to catch him even if he goes alone all the way.
Yeah, he's a little bit better than everyone else. Obviously, when he was off on his own, then there was no cooperation from behind. Also, he had 2 or 3 teammates there, and yeah, it was. He proved once more why he is the #1 of cycling for so long.
You are gravel world champion, and here is like kind of similar race. So how is the difference between these 2 races?
Yeah, gravel racing is much more technical, and there are parts on single trails and narrow descents with that almost are more similar to those on mountain bike races than those on road races. But yeah, it's Also, this race is very close to my heart. I enjoy it, even though today was super hard for super long. I would have hoped for an easier start, but it is what it is. I did my best. I think the podium was within my reach, but I think in the second group we were all pretty equal. It was hard to make any difference whatsoever. So, 5th place is not a bad result.
Okay, thank you very much.
5th place, not a bad result at all. And Mohoric was in this chasing group here, fighting everything. Let's not forget 4,000 meters of climbing today. I really had to fight for everything, and beating that group of climbers he was with as well. It's an outstanding result. And there are the results, with Pogačar at the top of the pile. Nobody even close to his level. I have to say, as a spectacle, the race was done and dusted with a long, long way to go. And Pogačar made it so. It's a sensational view around Siena, isn't it? It's going to be even better from the top of the podium for 3 lucky riders in a minute. What a performance from Tadej Pogačar. Second win in 3 years at Strade Bianche. 50 kilometers last time out in 2022. Today with 81 Ks to go. Let's have a quick look back at how he did it. And when the flag went, there were attacks very early on. Live coverage began with 95 Ks to go, and it was throwing it down with rain. San Martino in Grania was being finished. Then we got to Monte Sante Marie, and then this happened. Wellens working hard, Pogačar on his wheel, a couple of looks around, and then the attack. Simmons tried to follow, Kuss as well, none of them could. And Pogačar with that 1 minute burst of peak power, quickly putting 30 seconds between himself and the chasers. 30 seconds became a minute, then became 2 minutes. Make that 3 with just under 60 Ks to go. The gap only going one way. The race already on its way back to Slovenia. Behind there were attacks and hesitations. Nobody really took it up. And Pogačar was already enjoying things with 42 Ks to go. The fans were enjoying the show. He was all alone. Both Van Eertveld and then Von Gils attacked. They were looking for the podium spots by this point. Maxi Von Gils getting out there. Soon to be joined by Tom Squinch. He made his own move inside 30 kilometers to go. The win already out the question by this point. The win was secured, and in fantastic fashion. He had time to ride it slowly and celebrate. The picture of a man who knew he'd done something special. Tadej Pogačar, victorious in Siena for a second and more memorable time. Squinch and Van Gils fought it out. It was a real battle to the last as well. Second place taken by Squinch, his best result in a one-day World Tour race even. Third place for Maxim Hills. All the victory, all the honours, yet again to Tadej Pogačar, who starts 2024 as he left off in 2023 by winning. Pogačar, Squinch for Hills, with Pidcock and Mohoric in the top 5. 5 minutes 17 between first and 10th. Well, ready to collect their prizes. Well, we're going to see Pogačar less this year, certainly the first part of the year. When we've seen him so far, it's been spectacular. 24-year-old Maxim Hills will be the first man onto the podium. And the man from the north of Flanders, absolutely flying at the start of this year. A podium at Strade Bianche is something special. Maxim Hills has achieved it. Two weekends in a row that the next man onto the podium has impressed.
Arriva dalla Lettonia e difende i colori della Lidl Trek. Applausi per Tom Squinch.
Tom Squinch, brilliant in the opening weekend and on the podium here. Super result for him and Lidl Trek. Best of the rest.
Ancora un applauso per Tom Squinch, Lidl Trek.
The first Latvian on the podium in Strade Bianche history. And here comes the winner.
Signore e signori,
we won't see him too much until the Giro, but he's proved today that when we do see him race, it will be a moment to remember.
Signori, Tadej Pogačar!
You heard his name, Tadej Pogačar. It's an 11th win of the season for his team, and it's another long-range exhibition. He's now up there in terms of the multiple winners. Cancellara with 3. Kwiatkowski is now joined by Pogačar on 2. And the trophy to take home. Just like Evenepoel, just like Vingegaard. It's a winning start to the season for Tadej Pogačar.
Ed ora, signore e signori, la vostra attenzione, in onore del vincitore Tadej Pogačar verrà suonato l'inno nazionale di Slovenia. Tom Squinch, Maxim Hills. Ora ci prepariamo per i festeggiamenti con questo podio straordinario in Piazza del Campo. La piazza più bella del mondo con Tadej Pogacar. Stamps, Skuins, Maxim, Van Gils, che spettacolo!